All right, welcome back to episode 26 of We Can't Code. So we criticize. Whoop whoop, Mike. Whoop whoop. I'm feeling it today. I will join you on that whoop whoop.
I'm feeling it too as well. I'm pretty darn excited.
I know. All right, it's been a couple episodes since we took our long break, and I'm good. I'm good.
I'm feeling we're coming back in the groove. I'm feeling as well. I'm really enjoying.
All right, so
getting excited for this stuff more and more.
I look forward to this each week now. It's good. I was gonna say, so the last couple episodes, I've been saying the name of the podcast, but I haven't been explaining. We can't code, so we criticize. For anyone who is a new time listener, the story behind that is we can't code video games, and so this is kind of like a slapstick, tongue-in-cheek joke to ourselves that we can't even make any video games, but we criticize them like we're just kind of being assholes about it. Yeah. So that's why it's called We Can't Code, so we criticize. It's just like don't expect us.
It was just perfect. I just we were brainstorming. We have so many other names that we came up with, and it was just like this one was just hilarious.
This one was the right amount of bad. The other ones were just bad.
Yeah. Oh, it's good though.
So We Can't Code, so we criticize. What is that? That's a weekly game podcast between myself, I am Ben, and we also have...
Me, Michael.
Me. It's a me, Michael. You should have just left it at that. You should have just been like, between Ben and me. Just like, that's it.
Yeah, as soon as I said, it's like, fuck.
So, weekly video game podcast between myself, Ben, and then Mike. We share relatively biased opinions on our favorite games, but find a single reviewer or find a single person on the internet that doesn't have a somewhat biased opinion. It's impossible. Everyone's got
we just do this so we have a chance to talk about video games for a while, since we don't hang out with each other, since we're in different states. It's just a good time just to hang out, talk about video games, see what we hate, see what we like, and see what we agree on.
It's a good way to talk out loud. And if you want to listen, you're more than welcome to listen, but Mike and I, we don't expect any kind of an audience. I mean, I think the last video that we had like 2 views or something. Maybe there'll be more.
Yeah, it's 2.
We've doubled, Mike.
We're doing so good.
Dude, in a year, maybe someone will find this and they'll be like, oh, remember those super popular guys from We Can't Code? Remember when they were laughing about how awesome it was to have 2 plays on their last podcast?
Now they have none.
Yeah. Now no one's listening to them. What a bunch of losers.
Oh, how the mighty have fallen. Talking about it to me. Like, yeah, Ben, I know, we suck.
Those would be... It could go one of 2 ways. One, we could have a huge crowd after it, and everyone's going to be like, oh, man, it's back to their roots when they were just talking to themselves. And the other way is Mike and I are going to look back at this as the glory days. We're going to be like, 2 people. Wowee. Those were the days, Mike.
So cool.
Yes. Hey, we still probably are in the future. Hello, future Ben.
Hello, future Michael. You fat piece of shit.
Fuck you, future Mike. Fuck you, current Mike.
Damn, game 2.
Asshole. All right, let's get moving. I've actually got a lot to talk about this week. So, Mike, I feel like I always ask you how your week was. So I'm going to start with myself, if that's okay.
Yeah, because I really don't care how your week is, ever, at all.
Well, fine. Well, then you just start. Go for it. Mike, how was your week? Start like you always do. Go for it.
Well, my week was...
shitty.
Yeah, kind of. No, actually, it was really good.
I
liked it. Today was kind of shitty, though. I was supposed to be taking some... I went to the bakery today that was closed and found they're going to be closed for weeks, which fucking sucks. I was so excited to go to the bakery today. And they just weren't open.
Is this going to be one of your inside jokes like the whoop whoop, whenever I ask you how your week was, you always try to not start with anything relevant to games? Like, why are we talking about the bakery? You did this the last 2 podcasts.
How my week was. So I'm telling you.
It's a video game podcast. Tell me. No one cares about your bakery experience.
I care. I go there every Saturday and they're closed, and I'm so upset about it. It just ruined my day. But anyway,
why were they closed, Mike? Closed permanently?
No, they're just renovating, apparently.
Okay.
I think OSHA probably got on their asses. Who knows?
Sure.
But I'm very sad
disgruntled
about it.
employee.
I'm salty about it. And I was supposed to get some certification done for some software, but then when I went to the testing center, they weren't able to get it running at all. It took them an hour to get the test running, and then when it was running, all the files for the test didn't open in the program at all. I was like, cool, this is great. You wasted 2 hours of my time for nothing.
So you failed is what you're trying to tell me.
Basically, I failed, even though I didn't take it. But
besides
that, I've been playing more of Resident Evil 7, and the more I play it, the more I feel like this game was something that they were working on, and they realized it was going nowhere. And they said, shit, how can we save this game? They said, well, the PS4 has VR. Let's make it VR, and that's it. Because, man, this game really just feels like a straight-up demo to me.
It's funny to me that you say that, because, honestly, I listened to all of our previous podcasts. I think it's fun to listen to our stuff. And the other cool thing is most of our podcasts are timeless. Like, we just do top 5 this or top 5 that. You can kind of listen to them in any manner. But, like, a couple podcasts ago, when we were doing this, before we quit for a year, you were like, oh, I'm really excited to try out number 7, and then I'm gonna, like, you were gonna do a reverse order, where you were like, I'm gonna do number 7, then I'm gonna go back to the HD remakes, and, like, it was funny, you were really excited about it, and now you're just like, this fucking piece of shit, let me tell you something right now.
It is just rough, dude. It's just like, it's basically just like, hey, look at these cool little things we made, and then it's like, okay, the boss battles are just, hey, shoot me, that's it. Like, they look cool, but they're all in the end, they move slow, they try to hit you, and they're supposed to be super strong, and with these claws, and sometimes twice your size, or 4 times your size, yet all you do to block them is raise your arms, your human arms, and you avoid all damage somehow. I'm like, that makes no sense. And then sometimes even when you raise your arm, you take major damage out of nowhere, which also made no sense. So the game is also really glitchy. And then you just kill a boss and you go to the next area. And then you kill that boss, you go to the next area. It's like they're not even puzzles in the game. They're really lame. It's just like, oh, I got a key, now go over there. All right, I got this key, now go back here. Just so much backtracking. It's
funny to know that Resident Evil's puzzles have never adapted since the first one.
No.
Get the blue key to enter in the blue door. Like,
oh, they have that too. But then they changed it. Now you need a blue key and a red key to get into the door. I shit you not. Right. I shit you not. It is the funniest thing that they had that there. And you just brought that up. I'm like, yep, that's one of them. And you just like, wow. It's like, oh, it's like, the guy literally leaves, there's like literal notes telling you how to solve the puzzles too, by the way. You see, like, you go into a room that you've never been able to get into and you see a clock, and next to the clock there's literally a note saying, hey, match this time to the other clocks. I'm like, oh, okay. I walk outside, look at the clock.
I solved the riddle.
I walk back in and I do it. I'm like, all right, you didn't really need to tell me. I would have found this clock by myself and then would just figure it out anyways, but you literally just wrote it and told me. I mean,
why is it impossible for horror games to get the right amount of puzzles? Like, Resident Evil sounds super fucking easy, but on the flip side, Silent Hill puzzles were impossible.
Right? That's what I'm saying.
How could anyone ever solve a Silent Hill puzzle without a strategy guide or, like, asking your best friend, John on the playground? Like, I remember there was a puzzle in Silent Hill 2 in the apartment buildings where there were 5 slots to put coins in that you had to find scattered all around the apartment complex. And you didn't even use all 5 slots. You only used 4 of them. So, like, a normal person, if you didn't hear from a friend or look in a strategy guide, you're going to be thinking, where the fuck is the last coin? Well, no, you don't even use the last slot. Like, that shows such a difference between match this clock to that clock. And, you know, in comparison, it's like, do
you remember the one in Silent Hill where you had to, like, remember Shakespeare and you had to look up Shakespeare and all that stuff to figure out the answer?
That was Silent Hill 3, and you got, like, 7 books, and you had to put them in you had to organize them based on, like, a symphony from,
something
300 years ago.
I just remember watching you and Tyler just trying to solve that, and I just gave up, and I just looked it up, and I'm like, all right, when you guys are finally done trying, I'll tell you the answer, because I just gave up, because we were getting nowhere.
Thank God. Yeah, I don't know.
Silent Hill is just stupid. And, like, the game also, there's no challenge in the game. Like, there's basic enemies in the game are literally there just to either walk around, waste ammo, and they're not scary either, and they don't look unique at all. And they're also slow and cumbersome too, and it's just like, you just feel like you're playing PT. Do you remember PT, Ben? That demo for...
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. It feels exactly like you're just playing an extended version of a demo of that. But it's not scary at all. It's like, you just kind of just go in the motions. Like, it's just like a hillbilly family. They're straight up just a hillbilly family that's just living in the middle of nowhere. And you're like, all right, I'm going to come in here and kill all of you. It doesn't really... I'm near the end, too, of the climax of the story. And it just throws some random thing in there. It's like... And it doesn't make any sense. And it's just not good. Because I'm just really just going in the motion. But, man, I'm almost done with it. And I'm super excited. I'm pretty sure I'm at the last level. I'm like, please, just be done with. So I can just start playing. Actually, this is something I was going to ask you. So after I beat Resident Evil 7, I either am going to be playing Spider-Man on the PS4 or God of War. And I was wondering which one you think I should play first.
I never played Spider-Man. I heard it was good.
Yeah, me too.
You can get both of those games for like $20 now if you find a good deal. I think.
I'm sure.
I think that they're both. Spider-Man goes on sale a lot, but I've also seen God of War for $20. I think both of them are sitting at like $40 standard price now.
Because I got Horizon.
I would look it up.
I got Horizon Zero, whatever that Horizon game with the robot dinosaurs. I got that for $20, brand new at GameStop. And the guy's like, "Oh, you can buy it used for $18." I'm like, "Why would I do that if it's just $20 to buy it brand new?" I'm like, it's like,
I'm not 8 years old. I can squander $2 just fine. Thank you very much.
It's like, I get the case and everything, and like everything I'm supposed to get. Yeah, just give me the new fucking copy, dude. It's like, why even bother me? I'm like, do I look poor to you?
I mean, that's like Mike as the mid-20s person. He's like, you want to save $2? And Mike is like, who the fuck cares? It's $2. I'm not gonna go and get like a Kit Kat or something after that. I'm not gonna be like running back to my mom's soccer van and being like, "Mom, guess what? I've got $2 extra.
Can I get some OJ?
We gotta find the ice cream truck now." $2 extra.
I just laughed when he said that, and like the guy next to him was like, "Dude, just give him the fucking game." It was so funny.
Apparently, on top of that too, I would think that they would want to upsell you. Why is the guy trying to downsell you? He's like, well, because GameStop is already in a bad spot.
They have to make apparently a profit from their used games because they bought them from people, so they have to sell them to get a profit of those games. And so it's like, I think that's why they try to sell those first. But I'm like,
it's weird.
It's like, but $2. I actually have a full-time... It's just funny. Like, because I don't dress like a slob at all. So I was like looking them up, and I was wearing a button-down. I was actually wearing my work outfit. So I had a button-down, fancy, nice khaki pants and everything. I'm like, dude, come on. I'm not like 2 years old here. Just give me the fucking game.
They're looking at you and they're like, "Oh, this guy needs to save $2 for laundry later tonight or something."
For the strippers, maybe that's what he's trying to do. He's trying to give me some, extra single bills for the strippers.
He's like, "Hey, you know what you can do with 2 singles? I'll see you there, buddy." He's just trying to make a friend, is what he's trying to do. He's like, "I'm tired of going to the strip club alone. I gotta make some friends." This guy looks like he likes to see lewd and nude women on a Tuesday night.
Oh God. I would rather not know the type of woman on a Tuesday night who are up there.
Nothing says bad mistakes like $2 strippers and $2 whiskey sours
on a Tuesday night.
$2 Tuesdays.
Ben, that's our new business. We're opening a strip club that's called Tuesday Nights.
$2 Tuesdays. It'll be like Ruby Tuesdays, except like with tits.
But that's my favorite thing about having the PS4
and probably less onion rings.
Is that I get to enjoy all these great PS4 games and at a huge discount instead of like dropping $60. Which is kind of funny when you think about it, is like how video games lose their value and price even though their quality never changes. It's kind of funny when you think about it.
The quality goes up, if anything, as long as it's not an online game where the community would diminish.
Yeah.
Like between God of War and Spider-Man, like
they just keep on adding free stuff in there.
Well, yeah, they're fixing the bugs, and then also if there are Game of the Year editions, then like you fucking get that for free, basically.
Yeah, and the Game of the Year editions are usually cheaper too than the original price.
Yeah, I don't remember God of War having any like major DLC, but I think Spider-Man got one or two things. That
they kept on adding more and more suits to it. Like they added a shit ton of suits. They even added the Marvel Spider-Man suit to the game as well.
Yeah, which isn't a lot, but I'll be honest, I like cosmetics. I like the option. I remember I was playing Resident Evil 5, and you got to pick, like, the nightlife outfits where the girl was wearing, like, a sparkly dress while she was killing zombies. Like, it made the game really funny.
You can do it with the guide, too, as well. Like, that's what was liked about Resident Evil, is that they kind of give you a lot of incentives to play the game again, and they just made it more fun. They gave you, like, extra skins, and, like, you can walk in with more powerful weapons, which I thought was pretty darn cool. And
those horror survival games have New Game Plus on lockdown. I mean, even The Evil Within was like so much fun. I only played the first level just to fuck around with people. I didn't play the whole game through again. But walking into the first level with a fully upgraded crossbow, there was nothing better. The first couple zombies were like, and you pull out like your fully upgraded shotgun and just,
just splatter them everywhere.
Real fucking challenge right here, let me tell you what.
Yeah, so, but, like, even when I beat Resident Evil 7, there was nothing that's gonna make me want to replay it again. I don't know, there's just, like, because there's barely any enemies in the game, too, as well.
Do you know if there's a New Game Plus, even?
I don't know yet. I mean, I'm gonna find out when I beat it. Okay. But
at the same time, though, the game seems like it takes itself pretty seriously, where I doubt that you'd get, like, any RPGs or something that you could just like roll through the level with. And it sounds like you were also saying a lot of the enemies you can't even kill, like they're just invincible. So like what's the point in steamrolling?
Like the basic enemies you can kill them, which is nice, but there's like parts in the game like you don't run into anymore. It's actually just one part where you can't kill this one guy and he just follows you around, but you can easily lose him. I seriously watched him. Like, I was down a hallway, and all he did was just walk straight and didn't even bother looking right and just opened a door and kept on going straight. I'm like, dude, you saw me make this turn. How'd you not see me? I'm like, all right. So, like, it was funny, too, because when we first ran into each other, it's a cutscene, and he has you trapped in a bathroom. All I did was run around a bathtub, and, like, the guy, they're all slow, so you can easily just manipulate them and, like, going where you want to.
Well, they're hillbillies.
Yeah, basically. And then I closed the door, walked down the hallway, and then just left. I was like, all right, that's it. And then he was gone. He just, like, I just continued on where I needed to go, and he never showed up again. I was like, okay, yeah, you can do that if you want. I just thought it was the silliest thing. And he just never showed up again. And that's what the game starts to drop. In the beginning, the game was scary. But as soon as they put a weapon in your hand, it lost everything. Because then you especially after the first boss fight, which is your girlfriend, you just, like, there is no real indication you're doing any damage until, like, oh, I'm actually doing damage. But the game is doing a horrible job telling me I actually am doing something. And so
For someone who's not playing the game, it's kind of funny for you to talk about, like, I got into a fight with my girlfriend, and I did a lot of damage. Like, it sounds...
Yeah, it's
just relationship problems, like, oh, I said something I shouldn't have, and it did a lot of damage, and
well, apparently,
anyway,
like,
I beat
it
her.
Seems like the movie seems like it looks like when the movie starts, it looks like she cheated on you or something like that, and you haven't seen her in, like, 5 years or something like that. And because, like, the movie comes, the beginning, like, says, then later, like, 5 years later, you're driving, you're talking to your bro, and he's like, dude, what are you doing? She's been gone for 5 years. Let it go. And the other characters are like, I just can't stop. I gotta find her. I'm like, I kind of agree with the friend there. It's been 5 years, dude, and she seemed like a cunt. So, I don't know what you're doing.
Whoa. All right.
I'm just saying. So there's really the game doesn't really start you off really caring about anyone right off the bat because the guy seems like a loser. The girl that you're going to go see seems like a cheating hussy. And so I'm like, well, I don't really want to save her. And I don't care about this guy because he's being stupid already. But it is still creepy at first because you don't know what you're getting into. But as soon as you start playing the game and you get past like the first scare scene, you know exactly what's going on. I'm like, oh, okay. And it ceased to be scary, and it just seems like you're in the motion of a basic game. But it just feels more like a demo. But I don't see really any potential in it. So I just feel like they did VR, like the VR is the only saving grace of this thing, which I'm not doing, sadly. But I think the only way to really make this game worth buying is if you had VR on the PS4. That would be the only reason that you should ever really want to buy this game. Otherwise,
sure,
you can honestly skip this one. If you're a Resident Evil fan like I am, you can easily skip Resident Evil 7. There's really nothing there. And people shed on Resident Evil 6, and I thought Resident Evil 6 was great. But this is bad. And I'm kind of surprised, and people just, I don't know, did you really hear anyone talk about this game at all, Resident Evil 7?
Oh, yeah, everyone loved it when it first came out.
I didn't hear anything about it. It's just I heard maybe one of the things saying, it's good. But man, I don't think it's good at all. But
everyone was praising the game when it first came out, and I'm still, it depends on what you're looking for.
Sure.
When I think of Resident Evil 7, I think of 5 and 6, and I'm not really looking for a slow game where a game is really linear. I like 5 and 6 because there are some parts where you can kill everything in an area and get a big reward, or you can run away. And this game sounds really linear, and it doesn't have cooperative mode, which is basically the only reason I play Resident Evil. So I'm gonna side with you, but only because I grew up in that generation where I didn't play the first 1 through 3.
And it's not scary. This game is not scary either. So it's not because Resident Evil, I would say Resident Evil is more of an action game than a horror game.
After number 3, yeah.
Yeah. And that's
where
they would go
my friend played Resident Evil 2, and I used to be really scared of that. But yeah, after start of number 4, it went to survival horror, which is more of an action.
Yeah,
style.
And I thought that was when Resident Evil really started to shine, honestly. When they tiered a little bit further away from horror and kind of went more to strange and creepy. That's where they really shined at. That's what I always thought Resident Evil was never scary. It was just creepy. And it was also an action game, too.
Yeah, Resident Evil, to me, is always when you put on a bad horror film. That's the same enjoyment I get. It's the same thing that people experience when they watch Sharknado. That's the mindset I'm in when I play Resident Evil. It's just this is going to be stupid, but it's going to be fucking awesome, too.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
And I feel so I can understand that your setup might have been that you might have misinterpreted what you were in for, and thus that's probably why you're just not excited about it.
But it's not even that anymore, because I came to exception of that too, and after our last talk about this game, I came to the exception all right, this is not a scary game. It's a Resident Evil game, and then even with that in mind, it still just didn't feel like a game that was really fully fleshed out. And I said this already 100 times in the podcast. It just straight up feels like a demo, or it seems like a concept idea of first person with VR. And I just felt once again, I said in the beginning it feels like a game where they knew they didn't really have anything, and they just tried to just do some type of gimmick to give it a reason to sell it. And I think that's why they even bother putting VR. But I also I don't want to brag, but you know me too as well, because I think you can agree with me. I don't really get scared that much in video games. There's very few.
No, you've always been pretty good at them.
Yeah, I just don't get scared often. There are some games that do scare me, but majority that most people are afraid of, I do not get scared of at all. And and mostly I can find out, I know why that is, because usually I see them through more of a program point of view. I I figure out, okay, how are they programmed? How is this enemy programmed? How are these enemies programmed? And usually as soon as I figure that out, the game is no longer scary. Except for a few, like Alien Isolation. I know exactly how the Xenomorph is programmed, and it still scares the living shit out of me. Because the only thing it's programmed is to learn from what you're doing and to always stalk in your area. It won't be exactly in your area, but it'll be, what I found out is that the Xenomorph alien is actually tethered to the human player, but it's a long tether though. But still, it keeps it so there is a chance that it can still find you instead of being, because apparently I think the level is very large. I haven't been able to fully play through because that's like the one that's like, I'm scared to do anything at all.
Yeah, well, you told me there was a mod where you could untether the Xenomorph to you, and then he could free roam the whole map.
I'm thinking about
and that made it a bit more realistic.
I'm thinking about maybe doing that because I still have the game and I do want to beat it, and I might do that and download that mod and maybe might make it a bit more doable for me, because the idea that it's always close by is pretty terrifying. And it's just like, I don't know why that game scares me so much, because like I have completely understand it and I know the franchise and I fucking love the Xenomorphs. Xenomorphs are my favorite creatures ever made. So it's kind of interesting. But and so I've only been playing Resident Evil 7. I was hoping to beat it, but I thought I was at the final boss too. But sadly it wasn't, and it took me to this whole new part of this whole new area actually. Because originally the game is actually in the house of the hillbillies, but not like this new section. So I'm thinking I'm in the last part, and I really hope so. And I'm just going through it. The game's not even hard though, so like, and there's really and it gives you a shit ton of checkpoints. So even when you die, it's like, okay, I'm just gonna then you just try again. And
well, okay, so like that's the only thing you've been playing. What about like movies or something? What else?
Movies. Did I see any movies this week? Let's see, The Avengers.
Or like any TV shows or anything?
Yeah, there was like this TV show that my girlfriend was watching that I got really into. It's like Mindhunters or something like that. It's a Netflix original. Yep. And man,
that's a good one.
Damn, it is really good. I haven't only seen parts of it, but the acting's great. Man, like the special effects, just like when I mean special effects, I just mean like the money they put into like just the brain fart. What is it like? The sets look freaking amazing. The characters are awesome. The stories are great. And I've only been seeing maybe 4 or 5 episodes, but I was watching the second season with her. I'm really excited to watch the first season because damn, Netflix.
Ooh,
really.
I didn't see the second season yet.
The second season is out.
I'll have to check it out.
It's just out, and my girlfriend already watched it all the way through, and so like it was a show that she was more interested than I was, but like I was kind of upset that she actually finished. Like, damn, I was actually getting really into that.
I want to mention this to Mike and then to anyone else listening who hasn't seen it yet. The first episode is kind of a drag, I'm going to be honest. After I watched the first episode, I wasn't invested in it. But the second episode, you meet this, like the first serial murderer that they hang out with, and he's a reoccurring character. He's this big dude who talks very monotone and just like, I'm sure that he's in the second season too.
I think I know exactly what you're talking about. He is, he's awesome. It was like awesome to hear him. And that's why
people were just praising his acting online, and me too. Like, I think that he is probably the strongest actor in that whole show. The first serial killer that they come across, he's the best.
There's like, honestly, you run into more in the second season, and every single one is fucking fantastic. Like, they're really good, and they do try to. I don't know if this happened in the first season. They do introduce some like personal drama in these main characters' lives into the story, but it's not overwhelming of the story, and it's not bad either. And it's like it's there, but they don't focus on it. It's like just the perfect amount, which I absolutely love. Because the one thing I hate when I'm watching like these detective shows is when they try to focus. I always feel like sometimes they focus too much on the personal lives of the detectives. This one has a perfect balance to it, and it's actually reasonable too. Like the characters are not crazy. And which I absolutely love about it. But my favorite part though is like when they talk to the murderers and stuff, and like man, it's like you said, the acting is just fucking fantastic. And I'm not going to give anything away from you because they talked to a few, like another one they talked to is just so fucking good of an actor. Like, bravo on these guys. It's just insane.
Yeah. Well, they really give that impression of just like, you know, glass eyes, you know, as in there's like nothing behind those eyes, just complete remorselessness and no kind of empathy as a person. Like the things that they do, they talk about it very calm and very calculated, and you know, the guy will be describing about how like he cut off his mother's head, and there's just no emotion in it, and it is creepy. Like, it is really, really good. These actors, they're able to just talk so monotone about the most grotesque things. Yeah, that's a good show. I'll have to check out the second season.
And it really shocks me because it's a Netflix original, and everything in the show is so well done. It's basically movie quality. I fucking love even the introduction cutscene of every episode for this second season. It is so good. I'm like, damn, I'm like watching a movie. I'm like, I feel like a movie's about to start when I'm watching it. And it's just
Netflix is pretty on point with their originals. I mean, Bird Box was a really good one if you haven't seen that one.
Bird Box is the one when they can't look at them, right?
Yeah.
I did not care for that one. That one was kind of a flop for me. I made fun. I thought that one was completely, really, really silly.
Regardless, I'm sure that there's a couple I can't think of right now. But
no, there's
some
a
really
ton.
Good stuff. Stranger Things, obviously.
Yeah, Stranger Things was fantastic. Love all the characters in that one. The second season was still good. I liked the first one. Maybe the first season had a
third season's out, you know.
Oh yeah, the second season. I didn't like the second season. I liked the first season. The second season, there was a weird part in the second season where one of the characters goes to the city, and there's like this whole other side plot, which I thought was completely stupid. But then when they come back in the second season, it's good again. And third season was good throughout it. It wasn't as good as the first one, but still good. So, I mean, once again, the first person set a high bar. It's really good. And, like, people are saying, the third is not as good as the first. Well, yeah, but it's still a good fucking season, though. And that's
right.
And that's why I'm going to start looking more into their stuff now. Because after watching just, like, Mindhunter, I'm like, fuck, this is Netflix. You go. You go, person.
Did you ever check out The Boys either? So Mike was talking to us. Mike was trying to convince me and a friend to watch this show called The Boys that came out on Hulu, I think.
No, that's Amazon. I'm going to be actually watching that today with my girlfriend. We're going to be watching it later tonight. And so,
okay, our mutual friend Tyler, he said it was awesome. He said it was unbelievable.
I only heard good things from everyone. I have not heard anything. I like the preferences too of it. It's like Watchmen. It seems like kind of that dark grittiness of the of the superheroes. They're not really good people, so it looks like I like that concept. So it's pretty cool. They're putting it into like a television series.
Yeah, it's basically superheroes but corrupt. So in the sense that a world of superheroes, but it turns out they're actually super villains because all their motives are not necessarily justified by, ethical or moral, but more like
personal gain.
Corporate.
Yeah, personal gain. If they're actually more human, more realistic in some cases. You ever watch The Umbrella Academy? At all?
Yeah, that one was good.
Yeah, it was good. I didn't like
that one.
I thought the ending was silly, but still good. And I don't know if I enjoyed the season a lot. Near the end, I kind of think it was kind of flopping, so I'm not too excited for the next season. But I still thought the first season was fantastic. I loved all the characters in it.
So for anyone who doesn't know, Umbrella Academy is a Netflix original as well. This is actually It was based off of a graphic novel that the vocalist from My Chemical Romance wrote.
Really?
And
wow, I did not know that.
Yeah, and if you look at the old comics, I never read them, but they don't really look that great. Like, it seems like they gave it the old like camera tweak, and I think it probably did it for the better. But I mean, I can't say that without even seeing the comics. But anyway. Aside from that, we've been talking about TV for a little bit. So, Mike, you and I played a bit of Divinity 2. We're playing with another mutual friend whose name is Sam. And, I mean, just to brush over kind of on my week, Divinity 2, Mike and I played this last year, but we're playing it with Sam now. And the funny thing is, I was teaching Sam how to play. I was having him kind of like explore and figure out like strategy and tactic all on his own, and stepping in here and there a little bit. But we were having this one issue. Mike was there. We were having this one issue with like one of the main bosses of the first area, and
oh my god, playing with you too.
What's that?
Just playing with the two of you is just like a fucking nightmare. It's just like it's hilarious to just watch you guys play. This level of just it blows my mind. I absolutely love it.
Everyone has different things that they want to do. Like I'm kind of taking more of a passive stance of just like I want to see how our friend Sam plays, or like so I'm not trying to make any huge impactful decisions, but on the other hand, like so I'll be like chatting with someone, and then Sam will be like, "Oh, I'm gonna kill this guy." And I'll be like, "Okay, I guess we're killing him." Like I'm basically like, whatever Sam decides, that I'm just like, okay, we're gonna do that. So it's in conclusion, we've basically killed everyone in the game.
It's basically this mode in like, see, this game, there's so much depth that if you just follow everything, you go follow the depth of how deep this game can go, you'll have like a lot of stuff on your side. But Sam and Ben are playing it where they are just going, fuck everything, and we're gonna just kill and just not do stories, not talk to people, murder everyone, just let's get off this fucking island. And I'm just in the back going, what the fuck's going on? And they're just picking fights with everyone. And I mean, they're picking fights with people like 3 times their levels. And I keep on saying, we're gonna die. We're gonna die. And these fuckers do like the dumbest shit ever, and we win. And I'm just there just fucking mad. Because like, I have to admit, when I play a game, I usually have the mindset of every single time. I barely do that when I play games, because like when I play a game, I try to explore everything the game is trying to make me explore. And it's kind of, I do occasionally, go off the rim a bit, and it's like, oh, just fuck it. But mostly I like to just explore everything because I know get the best items. But
yeah, and if you kill someone, like maybe it'll cancel out a quest down the road or something. Like I'm kind of with Mike. I'm kind of with Mike, where I do want to engage into the story a little bit more than usual, and I do want to see what the game all has to offer.
Ben is like a coin when it comes to that. It's either he likes doing that, or he's like, let's fucking get through this shit and kill everyone. And right now, Sam is feeding because Sam's the one, we're following Sam really. And Sam's feeding on that, so we have 2 people just going on a killing spree. And it's always, I absolutely love it though, because it's always funny, because so far it's just Ben and Sam mostly playing, and I kind of just hop in randomly when I have time to hop in with them. Because I know I've been playing Resident Evil 7, and I had some side stuff to do too. So it's so cool that I'm able just to hop in anytime I want to and just take over one of the characters. And I can leave anytime I want to, and then they just take control. So it's always funny me just coming in and then fighting like these, fully armored guards and like one super powerful boss. And then I'm just playing this character who has no armor but chest, literally nothing else, and a pair of pants, and then 2 kitchen knives. And I'm like, what the fuck's going on?
Dude, she's my secondary. No one cares.
It's so funny. And I was always excited. We actually
respect all of them. So she's got a bit more ability now. Yeah. We respect all of them now.
And so she's gotten way better, though. But I always just love just hopping into the game and seeing, like, what everyone is doing in it. And it's just so much fun. I have the ability to do that. And that's no reason why Divinity is such a good game, is that people can just hop in anytime and just start playing with you. It's great.
So the 2 things that kind of dictated how Sam and I are playing is I initially wanted to do a pacifist route where I didn't want to kill anyone, but the first thing that happened is we got into a fight in the first area, and then we basically started a mutiny, and I had to kill someone in that first fight, and I was like, okay, I guess I'm not going the pacifist route, so I'll put a little bit of damage onto my character. And then after I made that decision, like, we got into the first major town, and as I was saying, like, Sam is very much like, just go to the quest, do whatever, kill this or gather that or whatever, and then come back and finish it. Like, he doesn't care about the details. So, like, we're just following the arrows, getting quests, getting items, whatever, and there's an arrow above this guy, so I go to him, and he's like, oh, I see you've got my orange. And I was like, okay, I guess I was getting an orange for this guy. So I give him the orange, and he's like, this isn't my orange, and then he, like, from not giving this guy his orange, I don't know, like, I don't know what's going on, but it started a fight with, like, his gang, which was basically half the town. And so from
that's
that
how
point,
he died. I was wondering how that fucker died.
Yeah. So from that point, like, we were just like, okay, well, half the town is dead, so let's just commit to this. So we went from, like, the only other people that weren't dead were, like, the policemen or you know, the magisters, basically the bad group of people that imprison you at the very beginning of the game. They were left, and we're like, okay, well, it's not like we're not going to kill them. So like, that's how we became evil. Anyway, the story is there's a story I was saying how there was this one of the first main bosses in the area. What happened, and Mike was there and Sam was there and I was there, is couldn't beat this guy. We tried 2 or 3 times, couldn't figure it out, and then we decided the game uses action points. It's very similar to Magic. No, I'm sorry. It's very similar to Dungeons and Dragons. So Divinity 2, if you want to move, that costs action points, and like you get 4 action points or 6 action points or what have you per turn. So no matter what you do, it costs an action point. You're going to drink a potion, action point. You're going to shoot someone, 2 action points. So what we did was we aggroed everyone.
3 action points.
Yeah, if you want to lay on the ground. Yeah. So what we decided was these guys are really powerful. They have a lot of action points. How can we get them to use as many action points as possible? So we aggroed them and we drew them into the room adjacent to the room that they were all in. So, and then we closed the door behind us. So we were in like this murder zone, like very tight-knit entrance of this room, and they couldn't do any ranged attacks. They couldn't do any spells because the door was closed. They could attack the door, but they're fucking AI, so they're not even like on that level, basically. So whenever anyone opens the door, we close the door behind them and just like boom, 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 just fuck them up, and then close the door, and then the next guy comes in, opens the door, and then just bam, 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 you know, same, you know, rinse and repeat.
And then we found out that since we were crowding the door, only 2 of them can walk in at the same time. So as soon as the second one walked in, we closed the door behind them. Every other enemy AI would do absolutely nothing and just stand there as we're beating their allies in front of them behind this door. Yep. It was hilarious.
Yeah, so in their AI, I don't know exactly how it's written, but we're not visible because the door is closed, so they can't like hit us with a spell or range or anything, and they can't get to us because the 2 guys that were already in the room were blocking. So they can't reach us with melee, they can't hit us with range, so all they would do is stand there and go, "Arrgh, I'm gonna get you." Like, that's, and then it would skip their turn. Like, that is a very common theme between Sam and I playing, is I don't think we've ever won a battle not on a technicality. It's always been something that's like, well,
finding some glitch in the system.
Exactly. It's always been something where like we teleport someone from, you know, one platform over to us one at a time, and then we just, you know, same thing, just boom, 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 fuck them up, and then the other guys are standing there like, you better run or something, and then, you know, so the next person
so
would teleport them over.
It's hilarious. Just fighting these people way over our level. Did you guys get any further in the game?
Oh yeah, so we got off the first main area, and we're just about to dock the boat onto Driftwood or Duskwood or whatever it's called.
Wow, you made great distance. I'm shocked. I honestly didn't think you were going to be able to do the final boss on the island at all.
Right. That's a story for another time. I feel it's already been almost 45 minutes in the podcast, and I've only mentioned one game that I've played this week. So
you played other games?
You know, we'll see. Yeah, so Fallout 4. Mike, have you played Fallout 4?
Yes, I played it. I played it multiple times. I absolutely love it. It's I love it as a game. I don't love it as a Fallout game because of the dialogue tree got destroyed to absolutely nothing. But overall, though, it's still a good game, and I played it. I maybe did 4 playthroughs.
It's still a pretty layered AAA game.
Yes.
Is it the best in the series? No. But is it still enjoyable? Does it have a lot of things you can do? Yes. So Fallout 4 was kind of funny. This is a spoiler, by the way. So if you haven't played the game...
The game's been out fucking forever. Don't just go for it.
I'm just giving people a couple seconds to pause it or something. So fuck them. So anyway, you lose your son at the beginning, and your whole quest is about finding your son. What happens is you get to the Institute, and then your son is actually a grown man, and he's actually older than you. He's like 60 or something.
Still a little bitch,
but the first
though.
thing, yeah. So the first thing that happens is I've been basically playing the murderer route in Fallout 4 as well as Divinity 2, but because I've already played the game once before, if you listen to the previous 2 podcasts, I'm only looking to get to the DLC, and I'm just trying to level up my character as much as possible before the DLC so that I'm
fully explore.
Exactly. So I get to the area that you meet your son, and at first they try to trick you. They have this robot that looks like your son. He's like, "Dad, is that you?" And at first you think like, "Oh, my son Sean, he's over there," and then this old guy comes out and he's like, "Actually, I am your son." So anyway, the son, I know that he's not my kid, so I just skip the dialogue, and then the doors open and he's like, "Actually, and I just turn around and shotgun and just blow his face off. Like, not even done with the phrase or anything. The first second that I see this old man walk into the room, I just shotgun, VAT system, slow motion, use all my criticals, and just rip his head off. It was the funniest thing. Like, it was this big dramatic moment. He couldn't get 2 words out before his head just exploded.
It seems like a common theme when me and Ben play games. It comes to a point of like, how fast can we cut persons off in their dialogue to kill them? In every game we play.
Well, so I was thinking, like, how much experience can I get from doing the quests versus how many people can I kill in the Institute? There's probably a lot of experience I can kill from all the people in the Institute. And so I knew the second I saw this old geezer, I was gonna rip his head off. And sure enough, I totally went above and beyond. I've been maxing out my critical hit levels. It did 2.5 times damage of normal critical hits. Like, the guy was fucking goner. He opened the door, smiling, like wide open arms, smiling, and I was like, "Fuck you." He's
so good.
I'm pretty sure that my guy doesn't even know that was his son. Like, I haven't been reading the script or anything, but I picked up like some shit from him, and then I just started killing everyone in the area. Like, that's been my playthrough. Is this guy just immediately died, and in my character's eyes, I'm probably still looking for my son somewhere. So that was good. I've been playing more Eternal Card Game, which is a game on my phone and on Steam. Free game. It's kind of like Hearthstone, if you've listened to the past few podcasts. But otherwise, the only thing I was going to mention there is that my deck has gotten terrible lately. I don't know what happened, but I can't win a single game anymore. It's a resource card game where you have to throw down, like Magic the Gathering, you have to throw down a resource to play other cards. And I can either get no resources or I get no units. Every time I've played the last, 4 days, I only have a hand of resources, or I only have a hand of everything but resources. It is.
Are you allowed to redraw, or no? Because in Magic you can redraw.
You're allowed to redraw initially, but after you redraw twice, then it takes 1 card away, and you get to redraw a third
exactly
time.
Like Magic,
but it's... honestly, it is... The game is fucking rigged for me the last few days, though. It's ridiculous. I've been so frustrated with it. It's taken me 5 games to just have a single win.
To tell you the truth, I read a lot of comments about the game, and that's the number one that kept on popping up. Is that people's after a while, you start feeling that the game is rigged. After you start, if you've been playing for free, that's the number one thing that pops up, is that even when you're playing against AI, it just it feels like you just don't get anything you need anymore, and it just feels like you just can't do anything after a while when you play the game.
It's not like it's a free game, and you play mainly against other people, so it's not like they're winning more by having you lose. Every person that loses, the other person wins. So it's not like no one is winning. It's just I've been my rank or whatever. Yeah, my rank or wherever I'm placed, I'm at that point where it's just I need to really redevelop my decks because I'm getting shit all over. And then the last thing was I haven't touched Diablo 3 since we started playing Divinity. I know that I got to level 400 last week.
Yeah, do you need to play? Do you need to play anymore?
I kind of want to. I want to get the full seasonal there's these really cool wings that you get if you complete the full seasonal challenges, and
oh, you haven't done that yet?
I think that would be cool. There's more than just the set build. It goes up to like Slayer, then Champion, then like God level tiers. Like you haven't gotten it yet because there's stuff about beating things on Torment 13, which I know that you haven't done. There's a lot more to it. You get a lot more like cosmetics for beating the entire season challenges.
I did beat the entire season challenge.
No, you didn't. I know for a fact you haven't gotten to Torment 13.
I did get to Torment 13.
Okay.
I already did that. I can show you later. I did get to Torment 13. I have the full set and everything.
Okay, did you get the wings?
Yeah.
I don't believe you.
But yeah, besides Diablo 3 though. Oh, you also wanted to bring up something else too about a game coming out soon.
What?
Didn't you want to bring that up, or did you want to say that for later?
Oh, you cut out for a second.
Oh, I was saying there's also a game that's coming out soon that you wanted to bring up as well. That's like coming out in a few days. Or do you want to say that for after?
Yeah, Well, I mean, since you brought it up now. So this game I've been chatting up a lot, Remnant from the Ashes. It's only $40. I looked it up, so I'm not expecting it to be a full AAA game, but it's supposed to be like a randomized loot-based cooperative team game, similar to how like Diablo plays.
I'm pretty excited for that.
It's a third-person shooter. Yeah, I'm not like don't expect a AAA game like Diablo 3, but I think that it's gonna. If it's not great immediately, I want to show the developers that they need to keep updating this, so I'd still like to buy it.
Well,
and
when
that comes
Diablo
out this
3
week on
first came
Tuesday.
out, Diablo 3 was garbage when it came out. It took forever to get good, but it got good though. So I'm so excited for this because I want something new to play with people. Because it's like Diablo 3 is fun and it's still good, but I want something new to play with a group of people and all that stuff. And Divinity is helping get that itch though, which is nice.
In movies, I've been watching King of the Hill still. Nothing new there. I did go to see Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, though.
Oh,
I don't know if you
saw
that, Mike.
No, was it good?
Not exactly. I thought that it was a little subpar, but like I went with this. I went with a friend, and he had never read the books as a kid, and so like the biggest draw to me was the director, Guillermo del Toro.
Yeah.
If you don't know him, he has done quite a bit in the past. He's done Pan's Labyrinth, which is probably the most notable thing that he's done, but also like The Devil's Backbone and a couple foreign films. Anyway, he made this movie, Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. And the thing that sucks a little bit about it is that because it's a compilation book, it's not one story, it's multiple stories. The writing is obviously going to be bad because they have to figure out how the fuck do we get 5 stories to tell simultaneously. Mm-hmm. And so right off the bat, I knew that the pacing was going to be a little weird. The other thing that sucked was a lot of the acting and the kids I really wasn't a big fan of. But
that's always rough.
Yeah, there was just some really cheesy lines. I remember there was one line where, like, basically they read a book and then the stories come true. Like, that trope has happened a couple times in movies. Yeah. But
Goosebumps.
I remember, like, yeah, exactly. Goosebumps did that too. But I remember the stupidest line was the main girl, and she was like, "You don't read the stories. The stories read you." And
oh my god.
It's just like, oh no.
Yeah, that kind of seems like it sets the tone for the movie. How's the design of the creatures or the sets? Are they good and well done? How's the special effects?
So, the other thing that kind of sucked was there were jump scares in it. It focused mainly on jump scares, which is probably the weakest kind of horror in my eyes.
It is.
So I know it sounds like I'm shitting on this movie, but probably my favorite part was a scene, which you're not going to know what it is until it gets to there, but the scene called The Red Room was a very good scene. I thought that was the most well done. I thought that it focuses, like each story focuses on a character, and I thought the one that, the kid who was focused in the Red Room story, he was probably the strongest of the other actors. The monster also looked the best. Guillermo del Toro does a really good job with creating a monster. He has this great interview where he talks about how the monster always has to transform somehow in his stories, where, you know, in Pan's Labyrinth, the guy picks up the eyeballs and puts it in his hands, and so, like, that's the monster transforming. And I thought that the monster that appeared in this kid's story was really good, and I don't want to say anything more about it, but that part kind of salvaged the movie a little bit for me, but I would still probably give it, like, if a 5 out of 10 meant I wasn't sure if I liked it or not, I would probably put this at a 4, where it did not meet my expectations. If you're looking to go out and see a movie, then sure, go and see it, but just, if my expectations were a little bit lower, I think I would have enjoyed it more. So if you go in knowing, like, the acting's bad, and, like, understand that it's a compilation.
I hate kid actors, and because when they're bad, they're fucking awful in my mind. Every single time, like, I feel like kid actors bomb their roles, and it just makes me sad knowing that there's kid actors in this and that they're the characters in it too. It's a rarity.
It depends. Sorry.
It's just a rare. I'm very critical when it comes to, like, acting and all that stuff. Like, I'm not an expert, but, like, when I go to see a movie, you know, especially when I know what they get paid for, I expect top-notch acting. I expect you to do your job, and kids never seem to do their job. But when they do, I'm happy. I'm great. I think that they are fucking amazing. And, like, kids in Stranger Things are good. Kids in It are good. Recently, kid acting has been really surprising me lately. But, man.
Here's the thing. Is that it has to be an R-rated movie. I'm not saying that it has to be super violent, but if you're going to have a horror film and you're not going to have blood, or you're not going to have people... Like, I can't remember exactly if this movie was R or PG-13, but I don't remember anyone swearing. I don't remember a lot of blood, so I feel like they were trying to go for more of a family-friendly kind of horror, and that's just where it fell off. Like, when a monster's chasing you and about to murder you, and you're not, you know, all you're doing is screaming, and you're like, oh shoot, oh shoot, oh shoot, oh darn. Like, I don't get not that anyone did it in this movie that terribly, but, like, I just never get the impression of, like, that's how I would react. Like, I don't think that swears and swearing and gore make a movie, but if you're gonna have a movie where you are trying to send... You know, it's literally called Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. If you're trying to make people cringe and feel like, oh, that's disgusting, like, I think that you do need a little bit of blood, or, you know, like, gore or something swearing. To really prove that point.
If you want to feel like someone is actually in danger, they're not going to try to censor themselves. They're going to be saying, fuck me, I'm gonna die. You know, they're not going to say, oh, shoot, I'm going to die. No one says, oh, shoot, in a real-life situation. I've never heard that ever say, like... Anyone who gets scared, they fucking swear. They don't go, Jiminy Crickets, or anything, or just say...
Jiminy Crickets.
You know, it's like the best, like, what I do sometimes when I get scared is, like, and I try some stuff, is the farthest I can go is, like, son of a biscuit. That's I still say son of a bitch when I get really scared. I swear when I'm scared. Even when I try to not to, I will always swear, and when you don't, it just... Yeah, just like, I don't know. I'm just more upset that, honestly, now that they're just kid actors, I'm just starting to rant. And it's like...
Well, the difference of It versus the difference between... Yeah, the difference between It and Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark is that there's a scene where in the first It, you know, he slashes this kid's belly and he's got a huge cut. And, of course, the first thing all the kids say are, oh, fuck!
Yeah.
Like, there's blood, there's gore, a kid is being hurt... And he's swearing. In this movie, though, it's just kind of like no one ever gets, like, hurt. You know, no one ever breaks an arm or something. It's like they're there one moment and then they're not. They kind of, like, do this disappearing act kind of whenever they're killed. And
which is, like, not bad sometimes, but if you're trying to be scary, you gotta put some, like, realism in there. You gotta show, like, the consequences of these people, you know?
Yeah, like, you can't just have the victim be there and then not be there. You have to, like, that's not necessarily scary. You have to see, like, what happens to them, or you have to give some kind of an indication of, like, you know, they died this horrible death or something to make me really squeamish, at least personally.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It's weird. It's
yeah. I feel always bad about talking about modern movies when I don't want to give too much away. I would still go see it, even with a 4 out of 10. I love movies, and I watched the movie. It's not like anything I walked out of. If you've got a movie theater where you can pay for a ticket for like $5-6, I would still go see it, but just have your expectations really low. Some of the monster designs were still really good. Like Guillermo del Toro always makes a really cool monster, but it definitely, along with it being probably PG-13, and especially the acting, I thought the acting was bad. It didn't hit my expectations.
Right.
Then the last thing that I did this week was I started watching My Strange Addiction again, which was an early 2000s show, and I just started today, but it's so addicting to watch the addiction show.
Is that like the show where like one of the women was like eating sofa furniture or something like that, and she couldn't stop? Is it that TV series?
Yeah. I didn't see that episode. The episode I'm currently on is this woman eats deodorant. Like spray deodorant and stick deodorant. She says she'll eat half a stick of deodorant in one sitting. And, it's the most disgusting thing ever. But it's, like, I can't stop watching it. It's like trash TV if you're trying not to, like, watch Jersey Shore. It's so good.
You're either crazy and you need to get help, or 2, you're looking for attention and want to get on the show. It's like, it's either one of those things.
There's no way anyone does this for attention. It is insane. I mean,
straight
the
up
episodes
crazy
that they have. Yeah. Anyway, we can move on to our it's been over an hour here. We can move on to our top 5. So, if anyone doesn't remember, the top 5 this week is top 5 space games.
Okay, good, because I actually literally forgot to. It's like, I'm glad you said that.
Sure. Did you make a list? I feel like that's the natural next question. Mike's looking at his list like Super Mario 64 is number 1. Fuck.
Damn it. Well, there's Mario Galaxy.
Yeah, there you go. We were talking about a specific criteria before we ended last week's episode. And the criteria that I made for myself, and Mike, I don't know if you followed this or not, but my criteria is it has to be at least a majority of the game is based literally in space or in a spacecraft. I didn't want to pick games where, you're in a spaceship but you're flying from planet to planet. Like, you could technically say...
Yeah, that's what I did too.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. Because I was going to say, there's games that, like, you could say Borderlands is a space game series because... Borderlands the pre-sequel, like, you're on the moon, but that's not really a space game.
That's planetary. That's like planet, it's like planetary explosion.
Planetary.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you have to,
I think I said that right.
A majority of the time, you have to generally be in space.
Yeah, I made my list off of that, and I'm actually very happy with my list. It was actually difficult for me, which is very surprising, because I do enjoy space games, but I realized to myself, like, wow, I don't play many space games, but when I do, I fucking usually love them. And so
I was going to say, same thing. Yeah, same thing. Sorry, not to cut you off. What was that?
It's all good. No, I was really saying, so it's like, I was happy I was able to come up with a list, and I was like, but it's like, but majority of all the, like, these are majority of the only space games I played, and I think actually these are the only ones that fit our criteria, but I loved every single one of them. I was like, wow, I actually have the right amount and everything. I'm very happy about this.
Yeah, like last week, what was our last week one? Most enjoyable war games.
Yeah.
And basically, I just made a list of like 7 war games I played, and then I dictated, I put the, whichever one I liked the most was at the top, and then whichever one I liked the least was at the bottom. But it was a list where my number 5 probably wasn't even a game that I enjoyed that much. It was just like, it's closer to the lowest or the worst it was closer to the worst war game I played than it was closer to the best game that I played, and it felt really misleading. But I'm the same way with you, Mike. This list, I played all these games, I really enjoyed all of these games, and I think that this is a really good list.
Yeah, and it was like, and that last one we did, that I fucking destroyed that fucking list the last time. I had like 20 things. I was like, I could talk fucking forever in this.
Dude, yeah, you're
after
all
that
over that
podcast.
one.
After that podcast, my throat was actually hurting for how much I was talking during that one. I was like, oh boy.
Okay, so who is starting? Is it you or is it me?
Shit. It's you because no, I don't remember. Do you want? Right. I think you. No. Yeah, you started last time. If it was the military one, I remember you started last time, and then it was me because I ended on the last one. So it's right. So I start.
Okay. So as we have done it always in the past, we're gonna say our number 5, our number 4, number 3. Then we're gonna switch 5, 4, 3. Then switch to number 2, switch to number 2, and then number 1 and number 1. So, without further ado, Mike, what is your number 5?
My number 5 is actually a game I played this year and came out this year. It was actually Void Bastards. I talked about this in our previous podcast, actually in this season, and it is. But just a basic refresher, it is a roguelike. People don't usually like hearing that, but it is a roguelike game, and what it is you're a prisoner who needs to repair the ship that was transporting you to your prison. And the main reason why you're doing that is because, we'll reduce your sentence and all that stuff. And how you're kept in prison is that you are actually, I think the term is dehydrated into a powder. And so it's kind of cool. So you see them pour you into a ship, and then they pour water, and then you just show up and all that stuff. And
just add water.
Exactly, it's pretty funny. And when you die, they replace you with another prisoner, and each prisoner actually starts with some effects. Sometimes they don't even have any effects, and these effects can be positive or negative. And
you said it was I remember a game I used to play, Rogue Legacy, where each person had a quirk to them. So that's kind of what you're getting at.
Yeah, and if you find certain and what you do is you go from you are in this. You're basically in an area called the Void, and as you get these pieces and build them, it goes now you have to go get this. It's a very funny story, and I don't want to get into it too much of the story because it's I really like to have people play this game. It is one of my favorite roguelike games I've ever played. And how you get parts though and equipment to help yourself and to complete the parts you need to beat the game is you go into these ships that have been lost in the void, and where it's filled with void creatures which seem sort of like lost spirits, and there are different types of lost spirits. Usually it will only have 2 types of enemies on each ship. Sometimes there's 3, but usually there's only 2, and sometimes there's none. But each ship, when you get to a ship, it'll tell you actually what's on the ship, what you can get, and the type of enemies you are going to fight. And you can actually just skip that ship then. It's I don't want any of that, so I'm just going to skip it to the next one, which I absolutely really enjoyed, because it's just the idea of I can actually completely skip this level, so I'm just going to check on what this next ship is. And then then what you do then is that you board the ship, and that's when it becomes a first-person shooter, and you're allowed to bring in 2 weapons with you, and then a special equipment. Unless you have a perk, it actually allows you to bring 3 weapons with you. Usually the third one, though, is picked randomly, though, which is still pretty cool. Okay. And basically then, when you enter the ship, all you do is, the main goal of every ship is just to gather resources. And you can leave any time you want. You still have to worry about your oxygen, but you can get oxygen in the oxygen room. And then,
Yeah, I remember the last time we were talking about this game, you said there's a lot of battles where, honestly, it's not even a fighting game per se. It's just resource collection.
Exactly.
You go in, you get what you have to get, any means necessary, and then just escape any means necessary. If that is locking someone in a room, or if that is,
which is
just guns blazing, killing everyone, or if that is playing sneaky, your goal is just collect everything you can and run.
Yeah, there's so many different ways that you can attack every single ship. You can do it quietly, you can go fucking loud, you can lock everyone behind doors and stuff. And it's just so much fun. It's a very simple game, too. Easy to get into and easy to hop out of, too. So it's one of those things you can pick up anytime. And it was just incredibly fun. It's on the bottom, though, because it's just a very simple game, though. You just go to ship, get materials, and get out. And you can upgrade your equipment, get new equipment to bring into the other ships and stuff. Are you still there, Ben? Ben? Oh, we just lost Ben. Ben hopped out. And Ben's back. Sweet.
Hey,
cool. We're going to keep on continuing. We don't have to worry about anything. You were gone for 2 seconds. So.
Yeah, that's fine. My Discord crapped out on me for a sec.
Fucking Discord.
All right, so...
that's my number 5.
Will you still talk...
No, that was basically rounding that one up. What I was saying was that it's on the bottom because it is just a very simple game, and but man, it's fun, and I think that's a game that if anyone that's ever who likes road games or wants to get into it, Void Bastards is a great start. Because
do you know if it's on the Switch?
I don't think so, but man, it should be. It's like the graphic styles for it are not demanding, but they're really good looking. That's another thing about this game. It looks really good. I like the art style. It's very Borderlands like, but still maybe a brighter shade though. But it's so much fun. Absolutely love it. It's comic style. It's like you're looking at a comic book a little bit, which I think is really nice.
Okay.
But that's my number 5 there.
What's your number 4?
My number 4 is that, Ben, you've played this game, and it is Elite Dangerous.
I have played that game.
That game is an awesome space game, and you can either be playing it single player or online. It's basically it is an MMO, but you can play single player and not have to worry about running to other players, but still have the effect. You can still actually affect the multiplayer world because you can join factions, and when you join a faction, you can help it grow by doing jobs and all that stuff and doing experience. So, and man, this game is one of the most realistic space fight. But the whole game is in space. They did actually have it where you can drive moonlanders on like planets and stuff, but all of it's done through space, and you fly from space station to space station, from doing like hyperdrives and stuff, and oh my god, it's so fucking beautiful. This game looks incredible. And
it's a really good game, especially with the VR.
Yeah, and just like it's even just so much fun docking your ship when you go to space stations, because you just have to you pilot in, what is it? I guess you do like your light speed there. You fucking see this awesome massive space, and then you find where the docking zone is. You pull in, and as soon as you pull inside the ship, you're just in this massive open area, and you have people you have like the docking bay people talking to you. It's like, all right, your docking bay is 22 or something like that, and you just fly to your 22, and you just it just feels so realistic and stuff, especially when you just lock into it. Then it's like, yeah. It just feels so and there's so many things you can do in this game. You can be an explorer and just explore everything, and then sell the map you've made of the areas you explore to space stations. They give you a shit ton of money for it. You can be a trader, you can be a fighter and hunt down bounties and stuff. You can do anything that you would think that would be in a space economy. You can do it, and it's all first person. Space fighting. You can buy new ships, you can buy different weapons for your ships, you can customize your cockpit, and it's just so realistic. It's so much fun. The thing is that, man, the game is brutally tedious at the same time, too, when it comes to making a lot of money. At least to the experience I've had, I put some decent amount of time in it, and to make a lot of money to get another ship takes a long time. But it's still a good game. I absolutely loved it for just its realism and all that stuff. But I thought to get a new ship is fucking hard. It's really hard to get another ship from your starter ship. I don't know if you had the same experience I did about that.
Actually, I didn't play too much because I'll be honest with you. It made onto my honorable mentions. The game is very atmospheric, but the biggest problem is that the VR controls weren't exactly where they needed to be. You and I were having trouble figuring out how to do everything, and they didn't have a good tutorial to explain how to do everything.
Yeah.
And
I learned how to map it onto my controller. And it does not give you any tips on how to map it. I had to do it all on my own. But man, I had it perfectly mapped out, all the buttons, so it was super and I was actually fighting some other people, and I was actually a top because there is a PvP mode in that, and I fought other people, and I'd usually rank first or second in all my fights playing with a controller and stuff, and how good I actually mapped it out. And I was actually, I was very proud of myself that, because you had to map every single man, because since you're fighting space, you have to map your up thrust, your down thrust, your left thrust, your right thrust, your forward thrust, your back thrust, and all that stuff. And I was able to actually do all that, and you're also to map your throttle, and so. It's crazy.
Because there's 3 axes of turning in space. There's your yaw, your tilt.
Yep.
I can't remember the other one, but Yeah, so there's a lot of movement. It's not just up, down, left, right. It's if your x-axis, y-axis, and then also when you're in space, your z-axis axis. And so you have to map, just 6 buttons based on tilting your spacecraft, and then aside from that, there is going and accelerating, there is stopping, there is all
which is
opening
possible.
up your bay doors and all that.
And like the thing was nice is that you can like I mapped all my movement, all that stuff, and everything that involves in combat on my controller, and then everything else that involved docking or like light speed travel, I kept on my keyboard, which made it seem it was even more cooler for me. Just like, all right, because like I have my battle control, my flight control is my Xbox controller, and then if I need basic transportation and just docking, that was my keyboards. So kind of like it was really immersive for me for a bit. I'm like, all right, got to push my buttons now, like I'm actually pushing on my command, thing, which made it really just more enjoyable for me. And I would like to get into it, but the grind is real in that one. But man, and the idea to have to I mapped out those controllers perfectly out, and to have to redo that seems kind of brutal. But I still absolutely love that game. But yeah, that's my number 4, which is Elite Dangerous. And then my number 3 is Kerbal Space Program. That game is fun. And that game is simply... I'm actually really excited to get back into that. After I clear out my logs of like God of War, Spider-Man, and then Resident Evil 2, the next game I'm going to be stopping back into is actually Kerbal Space Program. Because what that game is that you're basically NASA. And your main goal is to just explore space. That's all you do. And how you do it is up to you. And you can just build like these crazy shit. Like, the thing is though, is that you have to build everything. Like you have to build your spaceship. You actually have to figure out the trajectories, how to whip around the planet using the planet's gravity to launch them further into space, with appropriate amount of fuel. And then you have to land them onto stuff. And man, when I played this game, I had like 5 satellites around the Earth. I had 3 around the moon. I landed a Kerbals onto the moon, then left them there. Then I launched an AI system ship that flew by itself. I'm losing the term in my head, but I launched that off with a drone. A drone, basically. I launched a drone ship that I still had to control myself with no pilots in it. And I launched that one into space with a moon buggy, land the moon buggy right next to them, and then they can drive around the moon. And then I was in the process of making a moon base for them. And then I started making plans to build a moon base on the moon to launch from the moon out to further space and stuff and try to get even further. And that game is just like so well made. They're just like, if you want to feel like you're running NASA, play Kerbal Space Program. It's also like the style of it is really adorable and cute. Like they're kind of like the rabbit characters from Nintendo, but more rabbits, more human like. And they just added new things to it where you can actually make it a comedy where you actually have to buy stuff, and how you get money is collecting scientific data, which is like scientific data you get from like your satellites. So there's like more stuff to actually put on your satellites. So there's actually some useful like reasons to do them. So that's why I'm really excited about to see how well I can actually function. Because when I started playing, the reason why you just shot out satellites was just for fun, and you just went to planets just for fun too, because you had limited currency. There was really no progression. But now they put a progression in it, and everyone's raving about it and saying it's really fucking good. And it gives you kind of
They've added quite a bit to that game since I played, and how many years has it been since you played?
Oh, it's been a while. So I'm thinking I'm gonna watch some tutorial videos before I hop into it again to learn how to launch rockets correctly and spaceships correctly, and how to use the landing systems again. Because it is it's a hard learning curve how to do things correctly. Because then if you can't really just go in and just do it, because you'll crash all the damn time in this game if you don't know like the basic idea of how to launch correctly and to land as well. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to watch some tutorials again before I play, like watch some recent videos, just get a grasp on the launching and landing, and after that I'm just going to go into it, because it's one of my favorite it's kind of like a world, bro. It's kind of like a building system, like, you know, when you do SimCity or those other type of games when you build a town, but you're building like space stuff to gather more information. You're just fucking NASA, and it's just so much fun. I don't know why. It's just crazy fun for me to play as NASA and do like these real kind of scientific missions.
Kerbal Space Program, KSP, is a really good space game.
But yeah, that's my number 3. And just to reiterate them, my number 5 was Voidbuster, my number 4 was Elite Dangerous, and then of course what I just talked about for number 3 was Kerbal Space Program. And then Ben, what's your bottom 3?
So my number 5, Mike, I don't think that you've played this game, but it's called SteamWorld Heist.
No, I have not.
So SteamWorld Heist is a game based off of the guys that made SteamWorld Dig 1 and 2, and they also made a game called SteamWorld Quest recently, but they all kind of have different mechanics to them. But SteamWorld Heist was a turn-based game where each person went one at a time, but everyone used guns, and you had to aim yourself. There was no auto-aiming. So, like, let's say it was a 2D game, and so you would start your character, and then so wherever your mouse was aiming, that's like where, you know, she raised her arm up, she raised her arm down, and it showed the projectile of where the bullet was going to go. But the cool thing is that you could ricochet the bullet. So a lot of guys would have shields or something in front of them, so you would have to like hit a barrel, or you'd have to hit the backside of the space station that you're in. Basically, you're playing as pirates, like going in and looting all these other ships, basically. So,
gotcha.
So you would go in and you would attack these defenders, and you would use your bullets to kind of ricochet and bounce all over, and then like get a crit, a headshot on someone who had like a shield in front of them or something.
Now, would you get more damage if you were ricocheting or if you did a direct shot?
I can't remember. It's been a couple years, but I don't think like ricocheting was very much encouraged. It wasn't. Getting a direct shot probably does more damage, but it's not like there was a huge loss of points, if there was any. It's not like there was it's not like there was any reason to not ricochet.
Right.
Like, yeah. If you didn't have a clean headshot, you would just go for a ricochet almost always. So that game was really cool. The combat was great, but the reason that it's at my number 5 is that I played it for 11 hours. And a game like that is really fun, but it had almost zero customization. You could pick out like weapons that did more damage or something. You could pick out different characters, but it really was just the same thing. Go for the headshot. There wasn't a lot of like cohesion with your team. So right. I played it for 11 hours, and it's just basically they throw more enemies at you each time, and there was not really any more diversity other than that. So I remember
Voidbuster was the same way too.
Okay. Yeah, so it's just like it scratches the surface of what it could be, but it really doesn't like dive into more.
There's different enemies, but there was only a set, but you'd just be different mixing of the enemies then after like I think there's maybe 6 different times in Voidbastards as well, so I know exactly what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm. And then another thing too, and I almost never complain about this, but the difficulty got ridiculous. Like it didn't feel like fair difficulty. So after you beat a couple chapters, then you start to face against like otherworldly creatures, and they can just like teleport wherever they want or something. I can't exactly remember what happened, but there was at a point where I was like, how is anyone ever supposed to beat this? And I remember like going 5 or 6 times on the same mission and just like getting not even close, like just getting demolished every time. And I was like, okay, well, this is stupid. Like I've got the best gun upgrades. I'm getting the headshots all the times. I've got healers and snipers and all that, and like nothing is changing. And so like unless I was missing a huge part of the game, a lot of it just felt like it came down to the AI making some critical mistake and then me taking advantage of that. But up until they did, it was just like waiting for them to fuck up, basically.
Is there
if they didn't fuck up, then I would lose.
Is there an end game to it?
Yeah, there was a very, very loose story. It was like,
okay,
you're pirates and these guys are the bad pirate. Like
the bad pirates. You're the pirates like from the Caribbean, and like these are the real pirates that rape people and murder everyone.
Well, It was basically like the story of Star Wars is, there's the Empire who watches over everyone, and then you're like this ragtag group of the rebellion, and like that was the story basically. Like no one fucking cared. There was a little bit more that came into it, but you're not playing this game to be impressed by the story. So that SteamWorld Heist it was a really great game, and I definitely got my money's worth. That's probably the most important thing to take away, is it's on this list because it was good. But I don't think I could ever finish that because at some point they just beef up the enemies with so much health and they give them so much just a stupid, overpowered abilities that you just lose interest. Like, I'm not playing to see where the story goes. I'm just playing for fun. And if I'm playing a mission over and over and over again, well then that's the fun being thrown out the window.
Right.
That's so the combat is really fun. In terms of the 11 hours I played, only the last 2 hours, I would say, were frustrating. But up until that point, the game felt very strategic and very good. So SteamWorld Heist is number 5. Number 4 is actually Mario Galaxy 2. And
that's great. Oh, yeah, I made that joke about that.
Yeah, I didn't want to say anything more because it makes an appearance here. I know that a lot of people are going to disagree. I thought Mario Galaxy 1 was a shit game. Like, I thought that they had way too many ideas that they were trying to do. I thought the controls were terrible because you're running around on an orbital planet. Like, when you push up, sometimes your character goes in a completely different direction because sometimes you're upside down, Like, sometimes like you're not always on a flat surface.
You have to be really careful with those type of controls because you can easily fuck up your whole game if you don't do it right.
Yeah, and so I did not like Mario Galaxy 1, but Mario Galaxy 2, it took that idea, and what it did was it made a lot of the worlds more flat. Basically, whenever you visited, it wasn't like a planet that you were visiting anymore. I mean, there were a few, but you were more or less visiting
a level.
Yeah, like it would shoot you off into a flat level, and you could sometimes go around corners and whatnot, but for the most part, the levels were a lot more flat, a lot more easier to manage. If you were going to be on a planet that had like different dimensions that your character could gravitate towards, it wasn't typically like a circle.
It'd be really interesting to see the Nintendo come out with their own VR set, because then that first Mario University, that Universe or Galaxy, whatever it's called, the first one sounds like it'd be perfect in VR, because then you have a full glimpse of the planet. You can actually look around it and all that stuff. You'd be more efficient. That'd be actually a cool concept for them to think about if they ever did come out with VR then. Because it seems like the first one, with it being you're always like on this sphere and running around it, that'd be a really cool thing to see in VR and, control your character in VR then.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
Because I think that'd be the only real way to nail a control system with that type of system correctly, is you have to be in VR for a little bit. The freedom to walk around and of the level more. Excuse me. I'm going to cough loudly.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Okay.
No, I just didn't want to just do it randomly and cut you off.
That's fine. No, I agree with you. A VR game for Mario Galaxy, I mean, any Mario game in VR sounds really good. But, so to summarize once again, it's a fun game, but the controls were terrible. It was an improvement from Mario Galaxy 1, but the controls were still pretty bad. And then the last thing, too, is that there were too many ideas packed into this game. There were different outfits that you could have. You could be like Bee Mario, you could be Rock Mario, you could be Spring Mario. By the way, Spring Mario was terrible when
they all sound kind of
the
lame.
Controls were already shit. Spring Mario made it so much worse. But it was a lot. Typically, a Mario game, they introduce one new type of Mario. When we played Super Mario 3D World, there was the cat suits, and so Mario typically has one different outfit that he wears. In Super Mario Brothers 3, he had the Tanuki tail that he could fly with.
Didn't he have the frog suit too as well, though, in that one? Or is that in another one?
I'm not sure. Maybe frog suit was Mario 2. I can't remember.
I can't remember either.
Regardless, though...
Yeah, they weren't crazy about it. There was usually one that you had to deal with.
Yeah, and so in this case, it just felt like there was too many things that they really didn't explore one thing. It was how many ideas do we have? Let's throw them all together, and hopefully, something sticks. But they really, there were only a few levels that, if you're B Mario, you were B Mario for 2 levels of the entire game. If you were Rock Mario, you were Rock Mario for 2 or 3 levels. If you were whatever kind of Mario, then it wasn't something that you could see in every single level. Like when you were Tanuki Mario in Mario Brothers 3, you could be Tanuki Mario in almost every single level.
Yeah.
They really emphasized that ability. In this one though, you can only get the abilities in certain areas, and it was just kind of shitty that nothing ever felt truly explored.
Yeah.
So that's Mario Galaxy 2. It was really great, but it's like they almost tried to add too much in, and the controls were shit. My number 3 is a classic, Star Fox 64. This is a game.
Nice.
What?
No, I just.
Oh, okay.
I honestly, I completely forgot about Star Fox. Dude, nice. Dude, bravo.
Yeah. So, back in the day, N64 replayability was a huge part of a game, and a lot of N64 games relied on cooperative modes, more than one person, to have that replayability. But Star Fox 64 was one of the few games that you could beat the game multiple different ways, depending on if you took an easy route, the normal route, and then the advanced, the difficult route. You unlocked things. You had much higher difficulty. You had different bosses. I remember that if you took the really hard route, you would become a tank and you would become a submarine. There were really cool things to explore. It wasn't just more of the same shit.
Now, didn't we agree though that we wanted to pick games that didn't involve you from just going to planet to planet, but to actually fight in space more?
Well, I think Star Fox 64 was a lot of space, though. There's a lot of levels that were just based in space.
How many
you have
levels
the
were
meteor shower level.
The meteor shower level.
There's the meteor shower. There's several games in the multiplayer. And also just normal. There's Sector Z, where you're in space. There's one where you're on the surface of a sun. There's one where there's a space station that you attack. Yeah. There's a couple levels that are in space.
Okay, I'll give you that one. Yeah. Okay, yeah. Yeah, that is true.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So, the biggest thing about it to me was replayability.
Yep.
And it's not like I'm trying to think of other N64 games that had high replayability. For some reason, the first one that comes to mind is Bomberman 64. But the replayability in that game, and with a lot of other games, like Pokemon Stadium, is that you had to be playing with other people. Star Fox 64 was one of the first games that you could replay it a lot of different ways just by yourself.
Oh, yeah.
And then also the unlockables that you got were very, very fun. So if you did play the easy route, the difficult route, the so-so route, you would get unlockables for multiplayer. You could unlock the tank, you could unlock the plane as the normal, and then the last thing is you could unlock the guys just running around on the ground, which was the most fun.
We had so much fun with that when me and my brothers unlocking that character. Oh, it was so much fun.
Yeah, and the game seems kind of silly right now for I remember loading it up and playing it a couple years ago and being like, this is so dumb. But back in the day, I played that game every single day. That was true replayability. And initially, I wasn't even going to put it on this list, but I have to think of when I played it and how impactful it was to me. And yeah, Star Fox 64 100% makes the list.
Yeah.
And then the last thing, too, is that, the replayability, but also diving into... replayability, the unlockables, and how difficult the game was. Because there were times where you had to take secret routes. There were times where you had to, save Falco on the first level. And, there were things that it wasn't just killing everything. It was securing your group,
Yeah.
If you played the hardest difficulty, you couldn't have a single teammate die, I don't think.
Yeah, because they were gone forever. It was they were... Yeah. That game was just fun. Even
and you had to hit a certain score value, too.
Yeah, there was a score value. And I think, that game was just stupid fun to replay. Even if you did the exact same thing, it was still fun. I destroyed that game.
There was just so much replayability for being an N64 game. I think the only other game that had replayability on a solo player level is probably Super Mario 64, but even then, you're still collecting the same stars, you're still doing basically the same thing. Star Fox 64 actually had, different ways to play through, the easy route, the hard route, whatever. Okay, so I'll go back through those again. Number 5 is SteamWorld Heist. You can get that on Switch and Steam, actually. I played it on Steam. Super Mario Galaxy 2, which is a Wii game. And then Star Fox 64, obviously, an N64 game.
Nice.
Mike, what do you got for number 2?
My number 2 is a game that I've talked about before on the Season 1 podcast, and it is EVE Online for number 2. It's an MMO.
I thought that was going to be your number 1, so I'm very excited to hear what your number 1 is now.
It was debatable for my number 1 space. EVE Online
Every time we talk about EVE, Mike has a hard-on for EVE. You cannot think of
that
anyone...
game is so good. You can't beat it.
Mike will talk your ear off about EVE.
Ever. The world is so deep. The stories, honestly, people just know what EVE Online is because the real stories that come out of it. People don't talk about stories from fucking WoW, alright? WoW may be the biggest one, but no one ever talks about it in the real world. People talk about
that is a dirty
EVE
lie, but
Online.
I know what you mean. I know your point, but that is a dirty lie. People talk about
people who don't play MMOs, they still talk about EVE Online. No one talks about WoW. Everyone talks about EVE Online. No matter who you are.
I'm not going to defend that point.
It's like everyone fucking loves talking about EVE Online because there's so much shit going on in that world. And man, there are so many things you can do in that world. If you want to be an explorer, you be a fucking explorer. You want to be a trucker, you be a fucking trucker. If you want to be a fucking space pirate, you be a space pirate. You want to be a miner, you be a fucking miner. And there's just like so many organizations. It's just like, there's like corporations, just gangs. There's just truckers. There's like fun people just doing their own shit, which I love doing the most. And it was just great just, picking up random jobs if I need some extra cash and just doing deliveries. And just like, it was so easy. It's like very easy to travel because usually it's MMO, so you just do basic cooking. So you can just do a lot of side stuff while you're doing it. And then, but you still have to be cautious though, because you just never knew. It was like, is there going to be a trap at the end of this warp gate? Is there going to be someone waiting for me outside? Is there going to be someone over here? Is this really a job, or is this just going to be someone just trying to blow up my ship, or try to steal my stuff and then get the bounty or the insurance off of it? And there was just like, but my favorite thing to do was be the explorer, and the exploring part was just so crazy and fun to do because what you do is you land into a certain area and then you shoot out these probes out and you ping to find these like warp things. Like these like secret black holes that take you to like a side pocket dimension, which then can actually just fast travel you even sometimes to another place, which then you can sell that information to someone's like, hey, I got this, fast little thing to get you over to, this quadrant in one jump. And just like, you just sell the information to someone, they give you the money, or you use it yourself to just quickly jump over, just do fast deliveries where you find out this one equipment, like this, maybe this like one ammo is worth pennies here, but in this like 100 jumps over is worth like way more because there's no one doing that type of ammo. And so you just do a quick jump, 1 or 2 jumps in, it's like bam, you've just made like 500 grand, which then you can use money to buy your subscription. So if you got really good in the game, you could start playing the game for free. And
Mike, hearing you talk about this game, I feel like it would be really cool for us to spend 2 weeks, 1 week, you pick a game, we play it, and you kind of like show me the ropes, a game that you're very passionate about. So in this case, maybe it would be EVE, and then the next week I play a game that I'm like, Mike, you have to try this game, because you've been talking EVE up for years now to me.
Yeah.
And it's never been a game that I've picked up. I feel like it would be fun to do like a game swap, basically, where like you introduce me to EVE and I introduce you to something. I can't think of anything right now.
And I'll do a new character.
I think that would be a cool idea.
I need to do new character because they did switch it to free to play, so I need to learn the new mechanics that they put into the system. And then, so I love to dive back into that game. That's an interesting idea, and it'll give me a reason to replay EVE. And so I'll actually make a whole new character for it, because I still have my old character, which is awesome, and so has all my ships. And it's like you can name your ships, and I absolutely love all the names of my ships that I have in that game. And man, it just like, and that's what I was saying too, is that like, it's a subscription-based game, but you can earn the money that you earn in the game, you can use to actually pay for your subscription so you can play the game for free if you earn enough money. And another thing I like about it too is that there is no grinding to get levels. Because man, just grinding to get levels is the most boring thing most of the time. But in this, it's like the movie The Matrix. You download your levels. So you want to be experienced in drone sniping, you download drones first, and then you download drone sniping. You can do, I think, more than one at a time. But all it does is take real world time. So even when you're not playing the game, you can still be leveling up. And then when you play the game, you don't waste your time doing something over and over and over again. You do whatever you want, which is the main point of the game, is to make money. Or, well, yeah, that is actually the main point of it. And how you do that is endless. There's billions of ways of what you want to do to make money, and it's all fun.
There are very few games that get the grind right.
Yes.
In a series. Diablo is one of those games. In my eyes, Dungeon Defenders is one of those games.
Yeah.
And Mike, from the sounds of it to you, Eve is one of those games.
Because it doesn't feel like you're grinding. You're just doing the main objective, and that is to get money.
Yeah, and the best thing about a grind is that it can't feel like you're working towards a goal as the main reason that you're doing the grind. The main grind has to be fun. Inherently, It has to be fun. In Diablo, it's, killing 50 guys at once. I mean, there was a time where, Mike, you and I killed 300 guys at once.
Yeah.
And it keeps a score counter. In Dungeon Defenders, same thing. You get a score bonus, and it's defending. In EVE Online, it is sending out those probes and kind of waiting for something to pick up. It feels like almost a. I feel like the word gambling is not the best word to use when describing a game, but it's kind of like, is something going to show up? Like,
yeah, you just don't.
You're not spending actual money or anything when you're doing it, obviously. So it's not.
Like how deft the world is, and like how good the community is, and how much the developers actually care about the community, and all the crazy things that happen. It's just cool. Even if you don't, just being in the same server of the stuff that's going on, even if you don't sit, it's just so cool feeling the experience. Like you just like me, I'm just exploring this one sector of the galaxy, just trying to find these little pockets of another wormhole to take me to like an ancient civilization where I can get some ancient stuff. And then while I'm there, a random person just shows up. Who is this person? Is he an explorer like me? Is he gonna fight me for the loot in here? Is he here to take my shit? Is he here just to kill me? How did he even find me? If I kill this person, is this faction gonna retaliate against me? What is my game plan now? What do I do? Usually my game plan is loot wherever I can and warp the fuck out. That's usually my game plan.
I think that's kind of cool because that is... A lot of games are like stealthy, a lot of games are attacking, but this is a community-based game and it gives you an opportunity. Like, how many times do you get to play a stealth game with online players? Like,
exactly.
Typically online games are just like action, 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 but...
And I think that's why I like about that character, that way of playing, of being the explorer, because you do have to be stealthy. Because the ships that you usually fly are not stealthy, unless you're unless you're in a big group or what's it called again, a clan, a faction or a clan where you can have bodyguards, or you can even hire bodyguards. But are the bodyguards going to be sticking with you? Or are they going to backstab you? Who knows? That's the risk of when you play by yourself. But if you're in a faction or a clan, you know that someone's got your back, which is an advantage. But I kind of enjoy that unknown when you play by yourself. It's kind of has a nice touch to it. And it's like...
I would be down to play this game with you, yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to dive into it again because it's been a while since I played it. There's other games, but I've been playing now. And MMOs, you got to dive in hard to get good in them. But it'd be interesting to get back into that game and learn how the new systems that's in it and all that. Because I'd be down to do that.
We've got to find a time for it though, because as we mentioned before, this game Remnant from the Ashes is coming out on next Tuesday, and
that's what we're
so probably playing. Not like this week or anything, but. I would be down.
I'll do some side research on it. I'll do some looking up on it and seeing how what's changed and all that stuff, so one of us can be really experienced in all that stuff and help guide us the right direction. But yeah, but that's my number 2, EVE Online. Honestly,
it's a good one. I'm very excited to hear Mike's number one.
Honestly, after how much I'm talking about, maybe I should put that as my number one. But man, I forget how carried away I get in talking about that game. I can go on
every
forever.
single time.
I forget every time too. I go on these rants. It's nuts.
You could sell milk to a milkman when you're talking about EVE Online.
I know.
It sounds like a perfect game. Whenever people talk about how like old World of Warcraft used to be great and like the community was awesome and stuff, the way that you talk about EVE Online is the way that I think people used to like World of Warcraft, where they're like, the community made the game. Like that is, whenever you talk about EVE, that is always the number one thing that resonates with me is this game has a great community.
Yeah, it is. And what's great is that you don't even, like, because, like, they're out there, and that's, like, the cool feeling. You don't even have to be interacting with people in it. It's just cool just traveling in space and just knowing, like, yeah, there's people doing some nuts things out there while you're doing your own thing. It's like you know that there's someone who's mining some, like, super rare asteroid that they found, and, like, they're just so excited, but they're also like, fuck, if anyone comes in here, they are just gonna blow my shit up. And it's just like, and it's cool when you're just traveling and you just see another ship and you're just going right by each other and just like, you kind of say, all you do is like, what's up? And it's like, what's up? And then you immediately both just teleport out. It's just pretty cool. It's just like, because you're in a fucking universe. It's so massive that you never know what you're going to see. It's just, it's cool. It's fun. And the fighting is cool too. But if I keep on going, we'll be on for like a 5-hour podcast. But that's my number 2 though. It's EVE Online. So good, but maybe it should be my number 1. I don't know. It's so
Whatever.
Good. It's so good. What's your number 2?
My number 2. No, it's not. Okay. I've never played the game, but I'm down to. Okay, so this game, I don't know if you know, Mike. It's kind of an underappreciated game, so I'm gonna give a bit more detail into what it is than more than I would for like what is Star Fox 64? Like everyone knows Star Fox 64. Yeah. But this game is actually on Nintendo 64 as well. It's called Space Station Silicon Valley.
Man, I don't think I ever heard of that.
Yeah, Space Station Silicon Valley. So basically, this is a game that is technically, it feels like you're on Earth, or on a planet, but because Space Station is literally in the name, I was like, okay, it should be fine. Basically, it plays out kind of like Halo, where you're in a big, like, space station, so big that there's, like, natural forest and environments and whatever, and, so it's a really cartoony kind of looking game. But basically, you crash land into this space station, and there's all these, like, everything is electronic. So all the animals that you come across, they're all electronic, and you play as
this is an old game. I remember.
Yeah, it's N64.
Man, yeah. Sorry, I'm just like looking at it, and I actually remember seeing this game. I never played it, but I remember seeing it.
It flew under the radar for a lot of people. There's only a couple people that I know that have ever played it, but it had a really unique style to it. So basically, you crash land onto this space station, and so everything is electronic, and you play as like a microchip, basically. And you kind of look like a little spider. You kind of crawl around, but you are constantly taking damage. And the way to stop taking damage is that you can attach yourself to any of the electronic animals, and then you take control of them. So it's a really cool game because there's all these different animals, and some of the animals, like some of the dogs in the game, have like wheels and rocket launchers where you can like. It's weird, but a lot of the animals have like special abilities. There's penguins that their special ability is they can throw a snowball. But then there's other animals that they have like rocket launchers and flamethrowers and stuff on them. It's really weird. There's like you can play as a rat who hits people with his tail, but you can also play as a king rat who if you find other rats, you can like like a horn comes out, and then the rats will follow you and then like attack other things. Like it's kind of funny because everything has their own style to it, and in that way it was really unique because at its essence there was some fighting, but it was really a puzzle game. It was trying to get from one point to another, and if any animal sees you, for the most part it's going to attack you. There are some animals that are like sheep that they don't have any abilities, but basically at the start of each level, you'll start out as something that has basically no health or anything or any damage, and you have to slowly work your way up, killing more and more aggressive animals until you become like, you go from the sheep to luring a dog into an electric fence, and then you take the dog, and now you can bite things, and then it's a puzzle in the sense that you have to get to the biggest, baddest animal, and then once you get to like the bear with the rocket launchers or whatever, like then you can like do what you have to do to complete the puzzle. Like maybe the bear's a certain weight that he can push down a button, or like the rocket launchers can shoot and hit something on the other side of the map. Like, so there's always, in its essence, as I said, it is a puzzle game, but depending on how you approach it, you can do it several different ways. And the same way with Star Fox 64, that opened up a lot of ways to really play the game. It had a lot of replayability because it was more than just, kill everything on the screen. The other thing too is that the game had really good music, and it was always very exciting to see what every animal did, because there must have been like 30 or 40 things that you could play as, and each one had different abilities. It was really innovative. You could play as a rat that would hit things with its tail. You could play as a mouse that had wheels, and the wheels would like rocket jump you over a river or something if you wanted to. Like everything had like an electronic quirk to it, and it was really funny. I remember the fox had like a blink kind of ability where, you were here 1 second, then you were 20 feet in front of you the next second. And, like, you could get through electric fences that way. So it was always like, how do I get from here to there? Or how do I lure something into a cage? Or how do I kill this other animal? And, whatever. So that game was awesome. And it had a bunch of levels. The space station was split up into 4 quadrants, where it was, like, farm type of animals, then desert, then I can't remember one of them, but it was winter, and then whatever the last one was.
I was looking at videos of it. It looks crazy.
It's really, really fun. I watched a review on it recently of a guy who played it, this year, and he was saying that some of the puzzles can be stupidly hard, like unfairly hard. Like, he said sometimes there's not a way that you can, like, lure something into an electric trap. Like, sometimes you have to, like, be the fox going up against the bear with the rocket launcher, and it's just off of stupid luck that occasionally you'll win. But other than that, he said that, he reminded me, like, the music was great, and he said that most everything else about the game stands true to being, like, a real unique experience. And I have to agree with him. The other thing, too, is that the company that made this game, Space Station Silicon Valley, actually ended up becoming Rockstar, so who makes Grand Theft Auto.
Wow. I'm looking at that game, I would not see that at all.
I know, it's weird, man. But, so, Space Station Silicon Valley is number 2 for me. It's for N64. If you haven't played it, it is a really great game, and I think it still holds up. I mean, there are some really interesting... It doesn't get old. Each level is refreshing and new and different, and I strongly urge anyone, if this is the first time you've heard about the game, pick it up. It is great. And then with that, Mike, we're on number 1, and honestly, I'm really excited to hear. What is your number 1?
My number 1 is actually Dead Space, the classic horror game where you play as Isaac, the engineer who goes onto a ship that it has broken down, and you're there to repair it, and you soon find out that there's a lot of weird fucking shit that's going down there, and it's filled with monsters that have really easily explodable limbs with your awesome fucking tools that you turn into weapons. But damn, Dead Space is a good fucking horror game. I mean, it's also just like, it's like horror games that are resource bound, of saving your ammo and getting stuff. I've replayed Dead Space so many times. It, like when we were talking about Resident Evil, about replaying it over and over again, Dead Space is exactly like that. There's plenty of reasons to replay it, because, man, it feels so great coming back into levels that just tore your ass a new one, and you come up with, like, fucking really powerful weapons then, and you have, like, upgraded armor and stuff, which is fucking amazingly fun when you get fucking new suits of armor. The game was just, and like everything was so well put into this level in this game. Like every level was great. The resources that were placed in this game are just so well done. I never felt like I was ever really gypped about resources that I was given. And then it never gave you too much, though, because there was always that worry about, hey, don't waste too much ammo or don't do too much of this. And the upgrading of weapons, too, fucking amazingly fun, too. Just like putting new stuff on your weapons, so fucking good. And the story was really good, too. And the characters, every single character I absolutely loved, especially the main character you play as. You actually really care, like, it made you really care about the main character I was playing as and wanted to make sure that he got to the fucking end. And, yeah.
Well, I remember there was a time when we were doing our Halloween episodes 2 years ago, or like a year and a half ago, we had a top 5 list where it was top 5, like, scariest parts in a game. And on your list was Dead Space when you first meet like the exploding babies or whatever. This is a game I haven't played, but you can talk about that too. Like you were saying, the characters,
babies, yeah. Like the enemies that you fight are so fucking creepy. One of them is the exploding babies, where they just have the most creepy cry, and what they do is they leech onto you, and they just like they can sometimes explode on you, or they then have like this giant fucking spine that comes out of them, and they shoot at you. But it just like the first time you see one, you see this like this woman in a maternity area in the space station, and you see him just like walking up to the baby. It's like, oh, don't cry, little baby. And you see just the baby then just leap on this woman and just literally just explode. And there's guts and gore just fucking covering the whole baby room. And then like you see this behind a glass, and it just fills the glass with just blood. And then when you walk into the room, there's just fucking guts everywhere. And it's like, what the fuck? And then you start hearing them cry, and it's like, ah. And like, what I also loved about this game is that to defeat most of the enemies in the games, it wasn't to get body shots. That would actually usually cause more problems than good. And the main goal was to shoot off their limbs. So you have like these creatures coming at you so fast, and while you're desperately trying to shoot off their arms and their legs, I usually went for the legs, because then it'll kind of slow them down a little bit. But usually they had like their arms, like most enemies had like these long bladed arms. And then as soon as you shot the legs, you start seeing them just like dig their blades into the ground and just drag themselves towards you. And they have like, and they did it like, they had like this fast motion to them too, which made it even creepier. So then you immediately then go from the legs to shooting their arms, and you just see the limbs pop off and we're just one, and they start dragging themselves toward you with one. And it's like, oh, it gets so intense every single fight. You just don't know what's going to happen. And it just, in the boss fights, every single boss fight in that one was so good and so much fun. I absolutely loved it. It was, I mean, it's been a long time since I've played it. I'd really like to play
Dead Space.
You will love it.
For this year.
The other Dead Space, don't play the other Dead Space games. Just play the first one. Don't even bother with the other ones. I feel like the other ones are garbage compared to this one. This one is fucking fantastic. Just play Dead Space 1. That's all you need to play. It's on Steam. You can get it anywhere, honestly.
I've got it on Steam. I got it on like a Humble Monthly or something.
Yes, give that game a go. If you want to play a horror game, but I know that you're like we said before, I don't really get scared by games that much at all. So, but I know you, Ben, that you get kind of scared of games pretty easily. It's a scary game, but damn, it's good. And this one scared me too. So I'm saying you might want to have like maybe Tyler sitting on with you or something like that. You might want to have Tyler. I think he's played it though already, but you might want to have
someone just behind me petting my hair, just being like, "It's okay, you can get through this." And I'll be like, "Okay, I'm trying my best."
Because man, if you get crazy, you're gonna waste all of your fucking ammo, and it's like then the shit gets even more real. But there's a lot of different ways you can go in about situations, which makes it even fun, because there's like you get a gravity thing. You have like a gravity manipulator thing to help you move stuff, and then you have like a thing that can slow down enemies in a certain space and all that stuff, which helps you even more too. And that like opens up your ability of attacks as well. You even have a thing where you can you pick up items with it, then shoot it towards them. So if you shoot off an enemy's arm, you can grab their arm and then shoot at their other limb to take it off and all that stuff. and it just like it's so good. And yeah, but that's like, I know I didn't talk as much of it as Eve Online, but it's a perfect game all the way, all around. Just especially since it's single player and all that stuff, you can play it all the time by yourself. It's so good. But yeah,
another thing too is I think like I typically always give extra points towards horror games because it is such a roll of the dice to make a horror game. Basically, if you make a good enough horror game, you're basically like, if a horror game is actually horrifying, you're basically cutting out at least half of the gamer audience because people don't like to be scared. And so if you make a good horror game, like, props to you, because a lot of people, if you're successful, just won't even touch your game.
Yeah. That's the problem, like, and that's the difference between horror, like the horror genre in games and movies. In movies, it keeps on playing no matter what. Doesn't matter how scared you are. The movie's going to keep on playing. But horror games, they only keep on going as far as you can go. And so it's like, which makes them way more scarier because you have no choice but to look. You have to be looking. You have to move on. And it's like, that's why I think horror really shines more in video games, though. But like you say, though, you're taking a huge financial risk because not many people will be able to play it then. But, I mean, if you really enjoy horror, you're going to experience it the most in video games because, especially in VR, oh my god, horror in games in VR is just an absolute no for me. I cannot do that. I mean,
yeah.
I know, like I say, like I'm usually pretty good with horror games, but put me in a VR game, no way. Where you actually have to look at it's too real. That's too much for me. That's too much immersion. I don't know. Mm-hmm. But back to Dead Space. It's just, there's also, just like I said, there's like upgradable abilities. It's so deep in what you can change and upgrade to help your character. And every single weapon in that game is viable. Even the first gun you get is actually fucking great weapon. So it's like you can never go wrong in what weapons you want to bring with you and what weapons you want to use and stuff, which I absolutely fucking love. And it just, the story, the voice acting, it's all just fucking top notch. So good. It's just like, it's my next BioShock game, you know? That's what took over BioShock for me was Dead Space. But yeah, that's my number one. It was Dead Space.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah. What's yours?
I mean, I can't put it on my list because I never played it, but it's always been a game that I've wanted to touch. And man, it's good to hear.
I know you struggle with horror games, but man, I really would like you to play that. I would love to have your opinions on that game. Because I think it still holds up today, by the way. That game is still scary today, and it's, I mean, not just scary, but it's still good today. I think it's top-notch game. And I would love that you to play that game so badly. I think what we could do maybe is you could stream the game and I can watch it with you while you play. If you really want to play through it and if you're having hard times getting through it, you can stream it and I can watch it with you and stuff.
No, it's fine. I've been able to force myself, if I really want to play something, I've been able to force myself through it. Like the Evil Within 1, I was so terrified of, but I pushed my way through that. Silent Hill 2, after 3 tries, I got through it finally. So if I have enough like driving force, I can do it. All right, so my number one is one that Mike already mentioned. Mike, I would like you to guess which one it is. Take a look at your list. I bet you can guess.
Man, I would have to say with you, especially since I know you got the VR, it's Elite Dangerous.
It is not. It is Kerbal Space Program.
What? No way! I never even knew you played that. I mean, wait, there's no other game that you could ever play besides, you played? I didn't know you played it.
Yeah, Kerbal Space. So I had it in the way early, like, beta version, and there was a lot of things wrong with it. So I never got to the moon. All I was doing was just launching characters into space. I remember...
Never got to the moon. That's great.
I never did. It was so freaking hard. Man. I don't know if...
I was trying to land I was trying to land drones on other planets out of my universe, basically, out of my galaxy, basically. And you never gone to the fucking moon.
Whatever, just, pat yourself on the back as much as possible. There you go. Yeah, we're all happy for you, Mike. Okay.
Just love it.
Congratulations, Mike.
Never made it to the moon. Wow, and you're number one. I am shocked.
So, I've got some notes here of why I liked the game.
You bitch.
Leave me alone. Let me fucking say what I've got to say. All right, so the first thing is infinite replayability.
Oh, yeah.
The game, you can play it as much as you want, and I'm sure that in the last, 6 years that I haven't played it, I'm sure that they've just added more and more. Like, when I stopped playing, they didn't even have rovers in the game, but now I'm sure that was, like, the first thing that they added. So, like, there's actually a reason to be on the moons, and, like, you can have characters not just sit
walk
there.
around.
You can have a rover, and you can...
Yeah,
exactly. So, infinite replayability. Second thing is the game is absolutely hilarious. The guys, they make all these funny faces. If your ship explodes, which was a common theme for my ships, like, everything about it was just like, oh, the guys don't die. So, like, the ship explodes, and then they're just in space flying for the rest of the time. And you can see their...
so many space Kerbals that are just launched into the universe, and I feel so bad now. I forgot about those pilots.
You can see their paths, too. At least the version I was playing, it showed, like, their trajectory, and even after the ship explodes, you can see their trajectory. So, like, I've got guys that just, like, kept heading in a direction. I've got guys that are just stuck in the atmosphere of Earth. I've got guys that are stuck on, like, the atmosphere of, like, planets, several hundred light years away from me, where they're just, like, eventually they hit something, and now they're just going and just, like, orbiting around a planet. It's easily the most difficult game I've ever played, yet it is never frustrating, which is a really interesting combination. So as I said, I never got to the moon, but even though I didn't do the simplest task, which is super fucking hard if you've never played the game, it never got to the point where I was like, fuck this game, I'm so frustrated. It always ended up, like, every fuck-up always resulted in a fantastic experience. It was, I remember the thing that I would do all the time, just to mess around, like, not with really any anticipation of getting to the moon or getting to any planetary exploration, was I would just take the biggest rockets I could, make the biggest spaceship, and I would call it Rocket Sauce. So I think I had Rocket Sauce 1 through 7, and they all were complete failures.
I think that this game would be so much fun for us to go in together at the same time, and we just play the game and we just talk over, like, Steam or Discord, and we just replay the game and we learn at the same time. I think that'd be just a fun thing to do. Overall, I just play at the same time. You do your thing, I do my thing. We just have fun, just fucking around, learning how to play the game again.
I think it would be really cool if there was cooperation in the game, like multiplayer or something.
Yeah, like you can both be launching spaceships. Oh, and I totally forgot, too, that you can make space stations. I made fucking space stations in the game, and I refueled spaceships in those space stations. Man, that was fucking insanely fun. Man, I did so much in that game.
So I'm looking at it right now. It says that multiplayer is currently not a mode that is supported by the developers, but they have indicated a willingness to develop a multiplayer beginning in 2014. Okay, so this is a really old article.
Maybe they might have one then.
Okay, this is from 2017. So once again, currently an official supported multiplayer mode is not available. But that would be really cool if, like, you were in a solar system, like 1 or 2 away from me, and then I was in a solar system, and the goal was to basically land on each other's planets. Like, that would be a fun multiplayer of, like, who can do that first. That would be super cool.
That would be fun. And I just noticed, it's kind of funny, I've been typing it in, and the first thing that pops up on Google search is, does Kerbal Space Program have spyware? Of everything that shows up in the list, I don't know why... Does it still have spyware? What?
It's weird.
Yeah. I never heard about that one, but who cares? Not my fucking problem.
I mean, Mike already talked about it enough, so I'm just going to re-emphasize. Infinite replayability, absolutely hilarious game. Even with all of its difficulty, you'll never get frustrated because it is... Every fuck-up is just entertaining.
Yeah.
And it is just
so much fun.
It's a game that just leaves you laughing because it is It is so funny just to see your ship just so explode.
Innocent. Yeah, it's just like because it's kind of cartoonish looking a little bit, so it's so like even though you have your whole ship explode and have your Kerbals launch into the unknown, it's fucking hilarious. It's great.
So to go from my 5 to 1 again, my number 5 is SteamWorld Heist. My number 4 is Mario Galaxy 2. My number 3 is Star Fox 64. My number 2 is Space Station Silicon Valley, and it's kind of an underappreciated game for the N64. And my number 1 is Kerbal Space Program. Mike, what were yours again?
Number 5 was Void Bastards. Number 4 was Elite Dangerous. Number 3 was Kerbal Space Programs. The Kerbal Space Program. Sorry about that. Number 2, EVE Online. And then number 1, Dead Space. And to clarify, that was Dead Space 1. The first one.
Okay. So, one really quick tangent here. I've got a couple honorable mentions, but Mike, I'm online right now, and this guy posted. We keep going back to this game, Remnant from the Ashes. I can't show this game enough. I saw the trailer at E3, and I was so excited about it. So anyway, I'm online, and there's a comment thread about. I guess they released a new trailer today.
Well, you can actually buy the game now, and you can play it apparently.
Well, yeah, so a couple people, I guess, have done that, but they're saying, first comment is, I'm enjoying it during the VIP access thing, which I guess is like a private beta. It's like a weird mix of several other games, but I like it for being the AA package that it is. So as I mentioned, this isn't a AAA game. This game costs $40.
Well, let's face it, AAA games now suck. Like, tell me what, it's like AAA games now are filled with so much bullshit nowadays that I don't even care about AAA games that are coming out. I'm more excited about stuff like this. Stuff that's not a full $60 game. I can guarantee you I'm going to have way more fun ever playing than any game that comes out is full of $60. Especially all the shit they throw in there. So I'm just so excited that it's only $40, and just the idea of the game already. I'm excited. And it'd be cool to have something new to play with you and all that stuff. That isn't Diablo. As much as I love Diablo, I'd like something new.
I'm trying not to get my hopes too high up. Obviously, Diablo's going to have a bit more customization. There's going to be a couple more bosses and probably some more endgame. But like this other guy says, I wasn't interested in this game at all. I thought that the game and the systems looked okay at best. I'm 17 and a half hours deep, and this game is so much fun. I'm really glad I bought it. So I just had to mention that. Like, as excited as I am, I checked online and I was like, yes, people are actually liking it.
I'm happy about that too, because it's like right now it's early. Well, technically it's like pre-order, so I'm glad that he did pre-order and get what he wanted, which is awesome. So
yeah, definitely. Okay, that's all I wanted to say. Honorable mentions. I'm just gonna run through these really quickly. In no particular order. It's not like I like number 1 more than number 3, but the first one is Space Pirate Trainer, which is VR, which if you listen to our last podcast, or maybe 2 before that, it's a VR game. You just stand in place, you're on a space station, and you shoot at like drones flying past you. Technically, that one's in space. It's
definitely
very
worth
fun.
a buy. And if you have VR, buy that one. That is definitely worth a buy.
It's a survival arcade shooter. So basically you just stand in place and you shoot at these drones and they shoot back at you. Very simple, but wow, very fun. It hits that arcade feel perfectly of just, see who can get the highest score. Next game I was going to say is Elite Dangerous. Obviously, Mike has talked enough about this one. In the 3 or 4 hours I put into it, the game was very fun, but I don't have I don't have enough time invested to put it on my list. And then the last one is, I felt like I am coming at this from the wrong era, but a game that I've always loved at an arcade is Asteroids. It's probably the first classic arcade game that I go to.
No, that's definitely an honorable mention.
Yeah, I think the nice thing is that also Asteroids has, what's it called? Vector graphics, I think, where all the lines are drawn.
Yeah, it's actually vector-based still graphics. Cool to play today. Just those type of graphics where it's just lines. You're just literally just an arrow, and then you're shooting at these poorly just rigid lined circles that break up to littler ones to nothing, and it's just really cool to see that. Actually, it's actually
if you play on a true Asteroids machine, the lights in that machine on that cathode ray emitter or whatever, the TV that it's made into. It is so bright, and it like truly is that feel of the arcade of like you can feel just the resonating heat, and it's like this pure white light. It looks awesome when you shoot and when things explode. As simple as the game is, your ship is a fucking triangle. It still feels like, and it's just like, whoa. Like I don't know if it was like if there was a setting turned up on the arcade machines that I've played, but every time I've played that game, it's always been like very bright and much more immersive than any of the other arcade games that it's been sitting next to. Did you have any honorable mentions?
Just one. It is Faster Than Light, FTL. It is like Void Bastard, but except you're only always in your ship, but you control, and it's always a top-down view of your ship where you can see in all the compartments, like, your shield room, your pilot room, your oxygen room, your healing bay room, your weapons room. And what you do is that your main goal is to get to the end of the galaxy to report to the Federation about the rebels coming. And so you're kind of like timed in a way of your jumps. So you can't jump backwards. Well, you can jump backwards, but you have to watch out because the rebel forces are coming. And if you get into the red area of the rebel forces, that you get constantly attacked by them with strong ships. So your goal is to get to the end of the to the Federation to warn them all that stuff, and to finally fight the rebel main battleship. And on the way, you get other materials and stuff. It is fun, but it's also kind of like a bit bullshitty too, because it's always random. It's a rogue game, so it's always random what you're going to run into, and you have no control of it says like, oh, there's a ship, do you want to investigate it? It's like, yeah, sure. And it's like, oh, it was a trap, or it's like something happened and it exploded. You lose 2 crew members, and you have no control of that at all. They're just gone. Or it can be like, oh, you found crew members, like, cool. Or it's like, oh, it was a trap, and now your ship is invaded by these really powerful people. But it is cool because you can close off bays in your ship and then open up your space door and vacuum all the air out, so you can kill enemies that board your ship that way.
Right.
But when you do fight other ships, you see a picture of your ship and a picture of their ship. And technically, it's not turn-based tacking. You wait until your weapons are charged, and then you can shoot them. And the enemy's base the ship works exactly the same way too. And you have to be strategic about where you aim, because then if you take out their weapons, they can't shoot at you. And then if you take out their shields, you have to worry about their shields coming up. And if you take out their engines, you'll be more likely to hit them. But it's also random based then. It's like you don't know for 100% sure if your things are going to hit, which is kind of annoying for me, honestly, to have a roguelike game when you don't even have the control of the possibility of your weapons actually hitting, which kind of takes the fun out of me. But it is still fun. But it's not perfect. That's why it's an honorable mention of a good space game. And
well, this game came out a couple years ago, and if I remember correctly, it actually won a couple indie awards. So if you're into indie games at all, you've probably heard of this. This is a game that I also haven't played, but it definitely has won some awards for a good reason.
The only thing I have a problem with it's too heavy on the randomness. There's too little control that I feel like you actually have. And it just kind of makes me... But some people like that, but it's more frustrating to me in the end. But it's still something I like to mention because it's still a good game overall, though. But it's not perfect.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so that's my only one I got, though.
I think that was a pretty good list for both of us. I felt like we had some good stuff. So to kind of start wrapping this up, games coming out... I'm gonna say it one more time. Remnant from the Ashes. I don't want to.
Yep.
I don't want to push anyone to buy it too hard, because I would hate if this game still had microtransactions or it didn't have enough support
if it has
or something.
That, I'm gonna lose my mind. But we'll just see what happens.
Double A games have a difficult time because if there isn't enough response to them, then they could quickly lose all their support. So
yeah.
There's still plenty that could happen. I'm not going to say it's an instant buy for anyone other than myself. I know that right now, at some point over the next week, I'm gonna throw money towards that game. So just keep that one in mind. I would highly suggest, at the very least, when you hear this podcast, it'll be on Monday, so one day before release. Check out a couple reviews. Remnant from the Ashes. Next week, Mike and I agreed our next top 5 is going to be best, the way that we described it is best population management games. So similar to a tycoon game, but it can't just be like an individual. So for example, like games like SimCity and Roller Coaster Tycoon, but not games like Minecraft or Don't Starve. Like you can build a base and you can make, in Minecraft you can build a base and you can have, an enchanting table and you can have all this stuff. But that's not like population management. That's just single person management. So these are games that also we didn't want to limit to just tycoon games like Roller Coaster Tycoon, Zoo Tycoon. We wanted to include other games where you have an opportunity, like Fallout Shelter is a good example, where you do like a management type of game. So, as we described it, best population management games, and the criteria is you're overlooking a community rather than like an individual. For the last two things I'll say is I'm going to be playing Divinity 2 and Fallout 4 this week. Hopefully I'll get to that Fallout 4 DLC. I've been working on it for 3 weeks now, but we'll see. Mike, what are you going to be playing this week?
I'm going to be finishing off Resident Evil 7, and then I'm probably going to be picking up either God of War or Spider-Man. And then basically that kind of wraps things up, and I just got one more thing to say is, you never landed on the moon? You little bitch.
All right. Mike and I probably aren't going to talk now for the next week, so, see you later, asshole.
Never landed on the moon. Well, that's it for us. You guys have a great week, and we'll see you next.
Fuck off. I'm not talking to you anymore.
Never landed on the moon.